Okay, I would like to call this meeting to order. May I have a roll call?
Director Baker,
Here.
Director Burris,
Here.
Director Case,
Here.
Director Foley,
Here.
Director Mendieta Ramos,
Here.
Director Maura Makunde,
Here.
Director Najib,
Here.
Director Owen Moore, Director Pence.
Here.
Are we in compliance with the open meetings law?
Yes, we are in compliance.
Okay, and we do have public comments. So board policy A0107 states, no person may speak more than once to an issue or for a period longer than 5 minutes, except upon the consent of a majority of the district board. No more than 3 people may be heard to one side of an issue, except upon the consent of a majority of the district board. So I have 6 people signed up. We can start with Christine Newman Ortiz.
Hi, hello, everyone. Hello. President and members of the Milwaukee Technical College Board of Directors. As an organization, Voces de la Frontera advocates for both workers' rights and civil rights of the Latino community and other oppressed groups. And we are here, myself and other members of Voces, to appeal to the leadership of both this board and President Cruz to really correct what I see as a very disturbing pattern of discrimination and retaliation against Latino staff and the Latino community. If MATC aspires to be a Hispanic serving institution that champions the success of Latinos in higher education, it is critical to address the institutional problems that exist and that are ongoing. Earlier this year, Voces came to the board to support English as a second language classes that were being cut by not hiring more staff, despite there being a high demand. These ESL programs have been a stepping stone for many Latinos and immigrants into higher education and MATC's bilingual classes and programs as they develop their skills in both languages. At that time, the board played a very constructive role in addressing and correcting these problems. And once again, we are here to appeal to the board and the president to ensure that we have institutionalized leadership, structure, and clear metrics that clearly values and promotes talented Latino staff internally, and to ensure that we protect and grow the high-quality English as a second language and bilingual programs here at MATC. Specifically, there are 4 things. One is that right now, we're very concerned that bilingual courses at MATC are being taught by instructors who do not speak Spanish. These programs are being advertised as bilingual classes. By offering these classes with instructors that are not bilingual, this sets up students for failure. And it's also upsetting when students walk in and expect instruction in both languages. We're also aware for some time now that there have been issues with Latino and African-American staff that have been expressing deep concerns about a culture of retaliation and discriminatory practices at MATC against those who speak out constructively on the direction of the institution. MATC also needs to prioritize the growth and promotion of experienced internal employees who are already aligned and committed with the institution's goals, particularly in bilingual education assignments. We also are here to affirm the need to protect and expand the successful Latino programs such as Adelante on public television. Many years ago, when I worked at MATC as a coordinator of the high school equivalency program, it was my pleasure to witness a culture at MATC that included strong, high-level leadership that championed bilingual education and ESL and a robust and creative approach to these programs and services. I don't need to tell you that the Latino community is the largest growing community demographic in our state, and that these programs are essential to really develop folks to be able to not just develop themselves, but to also enter into important positions that are needed in a very tight labor market, and to really move people out of poverty. This institution is critical to moving people of color that have been disenfranchised, Latinos and others, out of poverty. It's a very important institution. It is tragic that we're not tapping into those individuals, some of which have left, and that also there has been a steady erosion of these programs. This is really a lack of vision and experience, and it's needs to be, the approach to correct this really needs to be institutional. And we're here to once again appeal to the board and to the new president for your intervention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Patricia Gomez.
Dear MATC District Board members, my name is Patricia Gomez, and I am a television journalist, director, producer, and host at Milwaukee PBS. I have dedicated over 25 years of my career to Milwaukee Technical College and Milwaukee PBS Channels 10 and 36. I appreciate your attention to the following concerns, which will be echoed by other individuals present today who will speak about similar challenges with MATC administration that extend beyond Milwaukee PBS and impact students and employees through the entire institution. On Friday, October 18, 2024, Carlos Aranda and I met with Milwaukee Area Technical College President Anthony Cruz, who is already aware of some of the issues we presented to him and that I am now sharing with you. I want to highlight the importance of our program Adelante, which translates to moving forward. This Milwaukee PBS television show serves the Latino community in southeastern Wisconsin, celebrating our cultural contributions and addressing our needs. Founded 25 years ago by visionary Latinos, it was established to give voice to an underserved community. Unfortunately, our show's annual productions have been drastically reduced from 32 episodes a year to just 12. I urge this board to restore our previous airtime and resources so we can once again produce a weekly program with limited airtime. Our ability to inform and serve our community is severely hindered. Moreover, I respectfully ask you to address the hostile work environment at our television station. We must put an end to the harassment, discrimination, retaliation, and bullying that women and people of color have faced under both past and current administrations. In my recent performance review, I received low scores that have placed me on an action plan for alleged poor performance. Notably, this evaluation was conducted by Milwaukee PBS Vice President Deborah Hamlet rather than my direct supervisor, Interim Chief Content Officer Dale Palsek, which is contrary to past practices. I have filed a formal complaint, and I can demonstrate that the comments influencing my scores are not only misleading, but also untruthful. I respectfully request that the MATC District Board hold this action plan process, which I believe is retaliatory, unethical, and unlawful. For 25 years, I have been dedicated to the mission of MATC and Milwaukee PBS rather than serving the self-interest of certain MATC administrators. We continue to recruit supervisors. They continue to recruit supervisors focused on surveillance and punishment instead of supporting our students and community. This misdirection leads to a waste of taxpayer money, perpetuating a cycle of salary increases for those who do not create programs that break cycles of poverty and foster economic mobility for the most vulnerable. Under my leadership, along with my talented colleagues at Milwaukee PBS, our Adelante productions have received many prestigious awards, including 3 Emmys Awards and recognitions from the Milwaukee Press Club, Wisconsin Broadcasting Association, NIRA, and Imagen. Notably, during the same performance review period in which I received low scores, our Adelante production was honored with 4 awards. Our community is watching closely and demands that the MATC District Board take immediate action. Thank you for your attention to this critical matter. With faith and hope, I look forward to a renewed commitment to social justice for all. Thank you. You know, if I can turn this to everybody, or is a process for doing this to them?
You can hand it to Bess. She'll make sure we get it. Thank you.
I'll give it to them, maybe. Thank you.
Thank you. My apologies if I mispronounce Yima Davia Castro.
Good evening, members of the board, faculty, and administration. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Gima Davila Castro. I'm here not only as a business owner and professional, but as a proud former student of MATC, specifically a former bilingual student. I stand before you today because MATC holds a special place in my heart. It's an institution that provides me with the bilingual education I needed in my language and by educators who understood my culture. The combination was powerful. It was through these bilingual courses that I truly found my voice and my confidence to pursue my goals. The bilingual courses I took at MATC were an incredible asset to me as a student. They provided an inclusive learning environment where I could fully engage in the material without the language barriers and holding me back. These courses were taught by bilingual instructors who not only knew the subject matter, but also understood the cultural nuances that made the learning experience richer and more meaningful. I can say without a doubt that these bilingual educators were instrumental in my success. And I know that many students like me have similar experience. But I'm here today because I'm deeply concerned about the direction that MATC is taking with the bilingual education. In recent years, there have been decisions that undermine the very principles that made my experience so positive. Courses labeled as bilinguals are being assigned to instructors who do not speak the required languages, leaving students without the support they need to succeed. For example, as of recently as August 14, 2024, the Psychology 199 bilingual session was assigned to a non-bilingual instructor. As just recently, the bilingual economics course was given to an instructor who does not speak Spanish, with the justification that the students could simply receive translation services. This is not a bilingual education. This is the service to the students and to the community. As a former bilingual student, I know firsthand how important it is to have instructors who can teach fluently in both languages. Translation is not a subtitle for a genuine bilingual learning experience. Our students deserve better. They deserve to have qualified instructors who can engage them fully in both languages and help them thrive in their studies. Beyond the mismanagement of the bilingual courses, I'm troubled by the reports of faculty retaliation and a toxic environment here at MATC. Teachers who are standing up for what is right, who are speaking out about the importance of properly staffed bilingual programs, are facing retaliation, harassment, and discrimination. This creates a culture of fear, where those who care the most about student success are being punished for speaking up. These institutions should be a place where diversity, equity, and inclusion thrive, where students and faculty feel safe to express their concerns without fear of retributions. Sadly, that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Moreover, there are systemic issues with how MATC hires and promotes educators. I understand that highly qualified bilingual instructors are being passed over for teaching positions in favor of less qualified non-bilingual candidates. This not only harms our students, but also erodes the sense of fairness and integrity that MATC once stood for. It concerns me that hiring protocols are being violated, and it seems that discretionary power is being abused by some in leadership, leading to decisions that weaken the bilingual programs that are so crucial to many student success. What is more alarming that these decisions are having a direct impact on students and our community. MATC has long been a pillar of this community, particularly for those who rely on bilingual education. The decisions being made are now eroding the foundation of trust and support that so many students like me have built their futures upon. I urge the board and the administration to take immediate action. 1, ensure the bilingual courses are taught by qualified bilingual instructors. This is not just a matter of academic integrity, but a matter of student equity. Students who enroll in bilingual courses might have access to instructors who have provided them with education they deserve. Hold administrators accountable for their decisions. They must be oversight to ensure the discretion is not abused, and that the best interests of the students and the community are prioritized. These include addressing the culture of retaliation that is affecting faculty and creating a hostile work environment. Respect and uplift internal talent. MATC has many experienced and qualified instructors who are ready to serve the community. These individuals should not be passed over in favor of external hires who may not understand the needs of our students or the mission of this institution. And the last one, establish clear consequences for harassment and discrimination. We cannot allow these behaviors to become normalized. Everyone from students to faculty deserves to be treated with respect and fairness. As a former bilingual student, I want nothing more than to see MATC continue to thrive as a leader in bilingual education. This institution gives me so much, and it has the power to do the same for countless other students. But that can only happen if we make the right decisions. Decisions that prioritize students, respect our educators, and uphold the institution's integrity. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Maria Gabriela Avila.
Good afternoon, members of the board, faculty, and administration. My name is Maria Gabriela Avila Olaguiber. I'm a current bilingual student of MATC. I'm a ESL student, and I'm studying interior design program. I'm also had the honor of serving on the board of directors of Latinx Unidos, a student organization here at MATC, where I work alongside many students to promote unity, support, and representation for our Latino community. Today, I stand here before you, not just as a student, but as someone who is deeply concerned about the recent decisions surrounding our bilingual education programs. I'm here to share my personal experience, bilingual instructors, and explain why it is important that MATC supports and promotes these teachers, not retaliates against them. Through my time at the MATC, I have been fortunate enough to learn from exceptional bilingual teachers like Luz Sosa in economics and Dr. Basabe in psychology. These teachers have gone above and beyond to provide a learning environment that bridges languages barriers, helping students like me feel understood, supported, and engaged in their classes. I wasn't just learning the material, I was truly absorbing it, because it was delivered in both English and Spanish, language that I speak who I am and to my culture. Their ability to teach bilingually made a real difference in my academic success. Luz Sosa has been an inspiring force in my education. Her dedication to bilingual students is unmatched, and her classes have helped me grow both academically and personally. Dr. Basabe in psychology also provide me with the tools to fully grasp complex concepts because he made sure to communicate in both languages, ensuring no student has left behind. These teachers didn't just teach, they empowered. But sadly, not all of my experiences at the MATC have been positive. I was excited to take sociology last semester, but I was disappointed to find out that I didn't have a bilingual teacher for that class. The course was taught by a non-bilingual instructor, and while the class itself was fine, the experience wasn't the same. I feel disconnected all the time, unable to engage fully in the material because I lacked the bilingual support that I had been so valued to me in other classes. That's why I'm here today. Our bilingual instructors are essential for the success of students like me. They provide a learning experience that goes beyond just translating words. They bring cultural understanding and empathy to the classroom. They know what it's like to navigate two languages and two words. And they help us do the same. So when I hear that bilingual courses are being assigned to non-bilingual instructors, people who can speak Spanish or fully engage with us. Sorry, is he okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Sorry.
Okay. Well, I'll continue. People who cannot speak Spanish and fully engage with us in our native language, it worries me. It's not fair, to the students, and it's not fair to the teachers who are more than qualified and ready to take on these courses. I'm almost done, I promise. I am particularly concerned because I know that some of the best bilingual teachers, like Luz Sosa, are being retaliated against for speaking up about these issues. Instead of being supported, they are being silent. Teachers like her, who have dedicated their careers to making sure bilingual students have the sources we need, and facing discrimination and retaliation, this is unacceptable. As a former board member of Latinx Unidos, I know firsthand how much our Latino and bilingual community depends on these teachers. MATC has responsibility to did I say right? If I don't say a wrong word, please let me know. And protect them, not push them out. When you take away the ability of students to learn from bilingual instructors, you're taking away our ability to succeed at the highest level. I've seen the difference a bilingual education can make, and I know that my fellow students deserve the same experience. We need more teachers like Luz Sosa and Dr. Basabe, not fewer. We need to make, in a few words, we need to make the bilingual courses are taught by bilingual instructors, because that's how we thrive. And we need to stop pushing teachers who are standing up for what's right. I ask the board to protect and promote bilingual instructors like Luz Sosa, who have provided their dedication to bilingual students and who deserve opportunities for advanced, not retaliation. Ensure that bilingual courses are assigned to truly bilingual instructors, those who can engage with the students in both English and Spanish and provide the level of education we need. And the retaliation and discrimination against bilingual instructors who advocate for their students. They are doing the hard work of creating equitable learning environments, and they deserve our full support. In closing, I want to thank the board of and administration for hearing me today. I love MATC, and I had some of the best learning experience here, thanks to my bilingual instructors. But I know we can do better. Let's make sure the future students can have the same excellent bilingual education that I was fortunate to receive. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Luz Sosa.
Good afternoon. Esteemed members of the board, administration, and colleagues. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Luz Sosa, and I stand before you as the bilingual instructor who has proudly served at MATC for the last 13 years. During my time here, I've had the privilege of teaching a diverse group of students, many of whom rely on bilingual education to fully engage in their studies and reach their full potential. I'm passionate about my work, and I have always been committed to upholding the highest standards of education at this institution. However, despite my dedication, experience, and qualifications, I find myself facing barriers that prevent me from advancing within this institution. Over the past few years, I have faced retaliation for speaking out against issues that directly affect our students, faculty, and staff, particularly the Latino students, faculty, and staff, and I have experienced discrimination that has stifled my professional growth. As a bilingual instructor, I have consistently demonstrated my ability to teach courses in both English and Spanish. Yet, bilingual courses have been assigned to instructors who do not speak Spanish, depriving students of the quality of bilingual education that they deserve. When I raised concerns about this, I was met not with support, but with hostility. Instead of addressing the issue I was retaliated against, this retaliation took many forms: being overlooked for courses that I'm qualified to teach, being excluded from important discussions about the future of bilingual education, and most painfully, being denied opportunities for promotion to a permanent full-time position, despite my qualifications and years of service at MATC. These actions are not just personal grievances, they are a reflection of a broader systematic problem within the institution. Discretionary power is being misused to benefit certain individuals while harming others, particularly those who challenge the status quo and speak up for the needs of our students. It is disheartening to see how MATC has failed to create an environment where its employees, especially those of us who are bilingual and serve diverse communities, can thrive. Despite the institution's stated commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, the reality on the ground tells a different story. There's a culture of retaliation and discrimination here, one that affects not just me, but many of my colleagues. I'm not alone in facing these challenges. Many of my fellow bilingual and minority instructors have also been denied promotions, regardless of their qualifications. It is as if our contributions are seen as less valuable and our voices are intentionally silenced when we advocate for ourselves and our students. This is not just about missed opportunities, it is about the hostile and toxic environment that has been allowed to flourish here. In my case, formal complaints of discrimination and retaliation have been filed, but all of them were dismissed without meaningful investigation. It seems that protecting the administration has become more important than protecting the integrity of this institution,
or supporting those who are here to serve the students. Instead of upholding fairness, MATC has normalized discriminatory practices. The consequences of this are far-reaching. When qualified bilingual instructors are passed over non-bilingual instructors, it is our students who suffer the most. Our bilingual programs are supposed to be a bridge for students who navigate multiple languages and cultures. Without the proper support, those students are left behind, and the very purpose of bilingual education is undermined. Moreover, this failure to promote bilingual instructors does more harm to individuals like me. It weakens the institution as a whole. How can MATC claim to be a leader in bilingual education if it does not prioritize those who are most qualified to deliver that education? How can we truly serve our community when we do not reflect its diversity in our faculty and leadership? I am asking the board and administration today to take these issues seriously. Retaliation and discrimination must stop. We need clear policies in place to ensure bilingual instructors are given equal opportunities for promotion and that their concerns are addressed without fear of retribution. Stop the retaliation and harassment against bilingual and minority faculty members who advocate for students. Faculty should be encouraged to raise concerns, not punished for doing so. Promote qualified internal candidates who have demonstrated their commitment to this institution and its students. Too often, bilingual instructors are passed over in favor of external hires who lack the necessary experience and understanding of our community. Hold administrators accountable for their actions. Discretionary power should not be a tool for favoritism and discrimination. There must be transparency and fairness in hiring and promotions, particularly when it comes to bilingual education. Strengthen bilingual education programs by ensuring that only qualified bilingual instructors teach bilingual courses. Anything else is a disservice to our students. I love this institution. I'm proud to be part of MATC, and I want to see it live up to its full potential. But that cannot happen unless we address these deeply rooted issues of retaliation, discrimination, and exclusion. Our mission is to serve the community, and that includes creating an environment where all faculty, especially those of us who represent that diverse community, are supported and can grow. I thank you for your time and consideration.
Carlos, Aranda?
Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm not gonna read the whole letter because I echo what Christine Newman Ortiz, Patricia Gomez, Luz Sosa, Irma Davila, and Maria Gabriela stated. I want to ask you to listen to this important request. I respectfully request your assistance in these important matters. We need an independent external investigation, forensic audit of all human resources, labor relation cases of discrimination, harassment, and retaliation at MATC. Independent external investigation, forensic audit into the human resources, hiring process, and HR consultants. Independent external investigation, forensic audit into the general counsel. Okay, open access to the records. To post the position of the VP or DI as soon as possible. To bring back AN and Luna to lead the restorative justice initiative to protect the integrity of this plan and save taxpayer money. I also request to stop the action plan that Patricia Gomez was put until an investigation is in place. Thank you. I'm gonna leave these letters to Elizabeth.
Thank you for addressing the board and sharing your concerns. The board will not be responding to any matter in adherence to the state of Wisconsin open meetings law. which prevents a governmental body from discussing any specific item that was not publicly noticed on the agenda. May I have a motion of approval for the minutes?
I'll move approval.
I have an approval by Director Baker and a second by Director Burris. Any concerns, questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. May I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda items?
So moved. I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Director Burris, a second by Director Baker. Any questions regarding the consent agenda items? Director Baker.
It's more or less a comment.
Yes.
I realized that we did pull the item on the employee recognition
Mhm.
software, but I think it'd be great if we could just hear a little bit more from HR at a later date about sort of the thinking on where we are in this. And I don't know if that comes as a report or whatever, but
Okay,
that would be helpful.
should we add that to new business when we get to there? Is that
We could do that, or you could just advisory.
Okay.
To the administration.
perfect?
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions in the room? Director Burris?
If I missed something, I apologize, but didn't we vote on some of the items previously in the procurement thing? I'm missing that, and it could be me.
Last board meeting?
A previous meeting on, let's say, the truck. I may have missed that. Wasn't that in a long list of?
It may have been referenced in the plan, the general plan.
Facilities plan.
But
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure. If that's what
I
you're
could have missed that.
asking. I think, yeah, it might be helpful going forward on the procurement report if we identify exactly that, if it had been approved as part of the facilities plan, as part of a previous budget approval or strategy, so that we know what was referenced. Director Baker?
Yeah, because it is true that we may see in the facilities plan or in something like that, we'll
Right.
see a variety of items that we're gonna put out for bid or that we're looking to do something with. And then in the procurement report, it's like, okay, we're
This
getting
is
this
what
thing.
No, it is, yeah. So it might be helpful just to reference going forward on the procurement report, just to reference that we've previously seen this item on. That it's been approved, yeah, so that we can remember back, because sometimes it's a while between when we see them. Director Pence, did that answer your
Yes.
question? Okay.
Yep.
Any additional questions? Any questions online?
No.
All right, so I have a motion by Director Burris, a second by Director Baker. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, moving on to board action items. May I have a motion for resolution F 033-10-24?
So move. Yeah, so if I could, that's one you have to read the whole, somebody has to read the whole thing.
Okay.
So.
Authorizing the sale of 1.5 million general obligation promissory notes, series 2024 through 2025 E of Milwaukee Area Technical College District, Wisconsin. Motion?
So move.
Thank you, Director Burris.
Second.
Thank you. May I have Justin Fisher? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Everyone's doing well. So in front of you, there's a presentation packet. I'll run through it and if there's any questions, please let me know. So this is the 2024-25 Series E issuance. We went out for bid this morning. And on page 2, you can see the results of the sale. We received 4 bids with the low bid by Huntington Securities at a 2.9285%. So since last month to this month, it's kind of been an interesting dynamic in the interest rate world that we saw the first Fed rate cut, but yet interest rates over the last month have really creeped up almost daily since that period of time. I mean, we were at a 2.7% on the 10-year treasury, and we're up to a 3.1% on the 10-year treasury as of today. So, you know, I think it's coming down to what does the Fed rate cut mean for the economy? Is it going to reignite the economy? How fast are they going to potentially do the next rate cut? I think there's a lot of question marks in that because we've seen some economic reports where the numbers have come in a little bit better than expected. But at the same point, I think it's a little bit of a wait and see, especially with the election coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So, you know, when we went out for bid last month, we received a 2.64%. So you can see a little bit higher interest rate this go around. So if we go to page 3, this is again, general obligation promissory note series 2024-25E, $1,500,000. This one will close November 14th of 2024 with maturities June 1, 2026 to 29. First interest payment, June 1, 2025, non-callable. Moody's did affirm the AA1 bond credit rating, so that's good news there. And then the low interest rate of 2.92 by Huntington. Next page is the detailed financing illustration that you see on a monthly basis. Everything continues to look, you know, as projected and planned and coming in better than what we were projecting. So that's all good news there. We're working with Eva's team on that, and we're in good shape looking forward, not only today, but also into the future. The last several pages of the Moody's rating report, when we look at last month to this month, not barely anything has changed, if any. So with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Any questions from the room? Okay. Any questions online?
No.
Okay, with that, I have a motion by Director Burris, a second by Director Mendieta Ramos. Can we take a roll call?
Director Burris,
Aye.
Director Foley,
Aye.
Director Mendieta Ramos,
Aye.
Director Moore Mukunde, Director Najib,
Aye.
Director Owen Moore, Director Pence,
Yes.
Director Baker,
Aye.
Director Case.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. May I have a motion for resolution F0334-10-24, authorizing the issuance of 1.5 million general obligation promissory notes, series 2024 to 2025 F of Milwaukee Area Technical College District, Wisconsin.
I'll move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, can I have a roll call?
Director Foley,
Aye.
Director Mendieta Ramos,
Aye.
Director Moore Mukunde,
Aye.
Director Najib,
Aye.
Director Owen Moore, Director Pence,
Aye.
Director Baker,
Aye.
Director Burris,
Aye.
Director Case.
Aye. Okay, motion
Thank you.
passes. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. Okay. May I have a motion for resolution F0335-10-24 to establish 2024 to 2025 tax levy?
So move.
Second.
Who is that?
Dr. Najib.
Oh, Najib, thank you. And Director Burris, you were second. All right, Ava, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I guess I'll start by just letting you know that the mill rate going into 2025 has decreased again. So per $100,000 in value, home value in the district, that mill rate has gone down from $83.67 in 24 to $80.06. And the difference being a little over 4%. And really the calculation and the formula is rather simple. But for 2025, we did see an increase in district property values, but the increase that we're seeing in 2025 is a little less of an increase that we saw in 24. I know that mill rate went down even
percentage-wise even more in 24 than it did in 25, so those district values went down. Or went up, I'm sorry, at a slower pace. And we did also see a very modest revenue limit increase this year to new construction. That's the only, that the new construction in the district is the only factor that allows us to levy a greater amount. And again, that amount, that increase revenue limit increased at a lower rate than previous years either too. So just leading to, again, a nice, a nominal decrease, but we're moving in the right direction. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions in the room? Director Baker?
Just a comment, and I asked for the mill rate information, because to me, the most useful part when talking to people, I mean, the background is fabulous, is somebody's gonna ask me, what does this cost? And does it cost more than it did last year? Because we levy taxes. People see our taxes on their tax bill. And, you know, it's not often that an institution can say, we're actually taxing you less than we taxed you last year. So if you have $100,000 house, it costs $80 this year, or last year it cost $83. And if you have a $50,000 house, it's less, half of that. If you have a $200,000 house, it's twice of that, whatever. But a couple of bucks and a couple of percentage less than last year, which indicates fiscal responsibility on our part. One of those things we're supposed to be doing as a public works.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments in the room? Online? No, okay. So I have a motion by Dr. Najib and a second by Director Burris. May I have a roll call vote?
Director Mujica Ramos.
Aye.
Director Morgan Kunde.
Aye.
Director Najib.
Aye.
Director Owen Moore. Director Pence.
Aye.
Director Baker.
Aye.
Director Burris.
Aye.
Director Foley.
Aye.
Director Case.
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you. May I have a motion for resolution F0336-10-24 to approve designation of MATC state public officials under Wisconsin Code of Ethics?
Good evening.
Good
Michelle Barnes, Vice President of Human Resources.
Motion on the floor.
Requesting this annual approval. Did you need something?
I just need them to finish. I need a motion. No, you're fine.
I'll move approval.
Thank you, Dr. Second. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Requesting annual approval for the designation of MATC state public officials under Wisconsin Code of Ethics, which is used to provide guidance to the public officials and state employees to help them avoid conflicts between public responsibilities and personal interests.
Any questions in the room for Vice President Bonds? Any questions online? Okay, all those,
Yeah, we can do a voice vote. it's fine.
voice vote, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. All right, may I have a motion for resolution F033337-10-24 to approve lease with Jeffers Block 5 LLC for athletics and health and wellness training for students and staff located at the to-be-built premises located between West McKinley Avenue and West Juneau Avenue in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Anyone? No.
All good
No.
questions.
Yeah, we have questions and comments.
Okay, do
before
we
I
need,
can-
It has to be on the floor.
we have to have a
before we
motion
talk about
before
it.
we can.
I'll move approval so we can talk about it.
Okay. So I'll second it so we can talk about it.
Thank you. Okay, questions?
Before I can get behind it, I would like to have more time to read this in detail. It wasn't provided to us. I know that we got some questions to answer, which I was able to briefly read. I didn't have a lot of time since they came through today. But I think that in the future for agreements like this, we should have it in advance so that we can read it. I don't remember seeing it as an attachment.
Okay.
Was it?
Yeah, last week it was sent me.
The attachment?
Yeah.
My apologies then, I take it back.
No, it was in a separate email because we got it. So that-
Okay, I just remember seeing that one page. Okay, my apologies for that.
Director Baker?
Can we ask the administration, is there a time factor that?
We need to have, well, it's gonna go to the state board and by what, number 15?
November.
12.
12.
Has anyone had time to read it?
Well,
I have to say now, Lord has.
I have the one pager was my questions, that you got back. It was answers to my questions. So yes, I did have the opportunity. But if I'm the only person,
you
then
feel
that's-
comfortable-
And I feel like I'm not fully comfortable myself, so.
Is there a discussion that we can have that will answer questions? Otherwise, I think we're delaying to the state board, correct? I don't know. what
Yeah,
the
we won't
impact-
be able to go to the state board with it's on the state board agenda.
Okay, so is there questions we can discuss that potentially will move us forward?
This is Mark Foley. I'm not able to put up a hand if I can.
Yep, go ahead.
Put a couple of questions on the table. Um,
Yes, go ahead.
One of the things that I do not understand is the discussion about tax exempt status. I think what we're talking about is that if we have non-students paying a monthly fee to use the facility, that income might be taxable, although I don't know if that's what it's really about. A related, perhaps, tax question is we have a specified monthly rent, and I'm wondering if an assumption about real estate taxes is built into that monthly rent, an assumption that might change over time, or are we going to be responsible for paying a portion of the assessed real estate taxes in addition to the rent? Don't know. And the third question is different, but let me get it out on the table. And that is, we're basically committing ourselves to a 10-year lease. Is there an exit strategy? Is there an out if, say, 5 years into this, we decide that this was a mistake and we want to get out earlier? Have there been any negotiations about early termination?
So I don't know, Sherry or Dr. Cruz, can you answer?
I can
Okay,
start
ahead.
answering. So with regard to taxes, we would be responsible for a pro rata share based on the total square footage of the building for our specific unit, which is 27,000 square feet. And so we have been working to see what we could do about that pro rata share. We've spent time, and the developer has spent time on it as well, trying to figure out what exactly could be done. There are examples within the same district area where that was possible, but unfortunately where we are situated, there are no carve-outs that can be done regardless of status. And so that's where we are with taxes for now. I mean, we'll continue the conversation, but
that's part of the, right now, that the taxes, right, are incorporated in the rent. the
it
lease-
will be
in
incorporated.
the
in
lease
the
amount,
rent,
correct.
yes.
the amount we're seeing here, or it's going to be additional.
It would have to be
it's
assessed,
changes
so
every
it'd be
year.
additional. Which
I
is
mean-
why we were working on it, but
But it's not reflected. The payment we're seeing right now does not reflect this tax year. It's not included in there.
correct,
Gotcha.
because the building won't go into service till 2026. And then, I'm sorry, what was the other question?
There's one about the tax exempt status.
Yeah, that's a question about about the property tax, right? And then
Yes.
the other one's about students. It's not about taxing students or non-student use. It has nothing to do with that. This has to do really about the property tax,
It is.
right, Sherry? So-
Yes, it is the property tax.
And Mark, what was the third question?
The third question was whether there have been any negotiations.
Oh, the early
about
exits.
Early exit.
So as a condition, one of the things that was originally brought to us was a 20-year lease, which pursuant to the rules of the state pursuant to WTCS, we cannot do. It actually was WTCS that suggested the 10-year, for a couple reasons. One is that this is considered a specialized use. And in the industry, it's not typical that you'd have a lease less than the amount of time it would take you to, say, pay off what you're asking for tenant improvements. As per your documents, tenant improvements would be $3.5 million, which would be paid off over the 10 years. If we were to shorten the lease, we'd still be committed to paying off. And so it was, like I said, the suggestion of WTCS that we look at the 10-year lease and then go from there. So we did we said no to the 20 years because that was the original term of the loan that the developer was seeking. And the lender said, fine, they're a technical college. We understand that they can't do that.
But the question is, so we have the 10-year, is there any way out of the contract in less than 10 years?
The payment is over the 10 years.
The payment is, we would still be responsible for paying
the entire payment.
Yes, whether we're in it or not. Of course, there's always a way to negotiate it out, but it would be probably helping them find another tenant that could use the space, much like other commercial space.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So we would totally be obligated for that 3.5 million. You're saying for the other part, we would be obligated for all.
We could
800,000?
We could be obligated for the lease if we can't find another suit with the help of the developer finding another
But
suitable
is that
tenant.
here written? That we were able to do that?
To exit,
Like for us to find another tenant or sublease it?
it would be in negotiations. We'd have to negotiate it. We can't sublease, which is typical. We'd have to go through them and work with them to quote unquote sublease it. And that is actually in the terms.
Dr. Baker?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to get like something for. Maybe it'll help. Okay, so I mean, and just it took me a little while to wrap my brain around athletics in a 2-year institution, like 20 years ago when we started doing more of this. But I think this is a great idea. I do. And I think our students think it's a great idea. And it's absolutely true that particularly our basketball team has been like starved for good practice facilities and playing facilities. And like they rocked it, last year. And
Preseason, it was currently ranked number 8.
And
preseason.
Okay, preseason. Wow. Wow. And we have a variety of teams and it's attractive to our students and it sort of builds like a, certain thing about student life here and gives a sense of belonging. And, there's a lot of great things about it. And again, it took me years to kind of wrap my brain around it. So I want this to happen. I think it's great. I think folks, if you got a chance to look at the document you got today, those were a number of my questions. One of which I asked Dr. Cruz yesterday because knowing something about soccer in my family, I knew that we weren't going to be practicing soccer on a hard gymnasium floor. But I think the answer we got helped to explain what that was about. So a number of things that I was concerned about were answered in that. And I want to be supportive of the project, but I also think it's important that we all understand the details because it's a long contract. It's a big contract. It's a big change for us. And so I want to make sure that all my colleagues are comfortable, in that. I too have concerns about an escape clause only because a part of our ability to do this rests on our ability to generate revenue. Through the camps that we would have and people we'd be, and all of those projections, they look reasonable, but we've never done it before. And so it's a difficult leap because it's a big leap. And so maybe if someone can talk to us a little more about the revenue generation and how we come up with some of those projections and that sort of thing, that might also be helpful for me in knowing that there's money out there to sustain this?
So I can talk from the events end, more on the camps and other rental opportunities. In the past, and many of you may not know this, we have been approached by NBA teams, for example, to host them while they're in town playing against the Bucks, and we've not been able to do that. Because of course we didn't have our own facilities and they weren't close enough. So there's an opportunity. While the Bucks have said that they will lease from us and run camps through us, we also have the opportunity to run our own camps. And then there are the other rental opportunities that are out there. As I said, you know, we're looking at this as more of a community, trying to bring in more community and, you know, make the students feel like they're in a true college community. And so we're committed to doing whatever it takes to get the events to come. Part of the build out will include, you know, staff to help with those events. And then there's also the FTE report that's attached that talks about the number of additional athletes we could serve by using the facility, you know, for practice, for games, et cetera. Dr. King worked primarily on that part. So if you want to know more about that, I'd ask him to come and talk about that.
Dr. Baker, does that answer your question?
Well, I kind of tossed that all out there.
Yeah.
Like a little meat on the table.
Okay. Dr. Najib has his hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah. First, for the 10 years lease, was my question, and I received the same answer. But basically, once we agreed for it, we stuck with it for 10 years, regardless what the result. We even if we want to negotiate a way out of it, we have to pay the cost of the remodeling and the construction. So we're gonna have to consider it as our responsibility. The second thing also about the rental opportunities, really all of the opportunities is none of it guaranteed at all. And if it doesn't happen, it's our responsibility. It goes from our revenue generation. Third thing, also the camp charges, the camp charges, the way they determine it, there's no specific number that it goes everything goes how much how much the snow removal gonna cost, how much the real estate tax is gonna cost, everything changing looks like. And it's all on us, even one of the answers of the question that it depends on how much we participate in like the cleaning and taking care of that, then this will affect also the camp charges. So it looks like really everything changing. And to me, we are committed. I mean, we're going to be committed to 10 years with all the costs, and whatever they tell us to need to pay extra, we're going to have to pay it, because there's nothing written and no specific amount. The contract I'd like to get into sometime is to agree about certain amount or certain range that it will not exceed, for example, certain amount or from now, because 10 years is a long time, and they can have many reasons where they can change the amount on us. This is my feeling. I don't know. Just I wanted to express my opinion about it.
So clarifying question, if we approve this and it goes to the state board, does it come back to us with final numbers, or what happens then? Like what exact, are we just approving it to go forward to the state board? And
But then
You're giving me authority to enter into a contract.
does it mean that we do have to enter? into a
Right,
contract?
right.
It gives the ability for us to enter. into a
Okay,
contract.
so
The issue is that there would be so a lot of the great questions have been asked. The thing is that without having anything that, right now, everything's in the air. So if you wanted more specifics on like what could we generate from any type of rentals, or if we said we can't go out there and look for that, or even offer that up to give solid numbers on those things. Everything would be an estimate at this point, because we don't have the ability to do that.
so if we approve now, it continues, it gives you the okay to go and enter into a contract and go continue negotiate and actually get potential income and
Letters of
rental
intent.
agreements.
From.
And
I
then
think that's possible.
would
That's what
it
it
come
takes.
back to us for a final approval of the final numbers, or what would that look like?
No, this would be the approval. I could bring it back once I have final numbers, definite numbers for the
Yeah.
board to review,
Okay.
To review, but this will be giving you the approval.
giving me the authority to enter into the contract, yes.
I have one more issue too.
Go ahead, Doctor.
The issue that I don't know, I'm concerned, I don't know the facility. I don't know if it's going to be adequate for our student or not, because they said they cannot play a soccer game, for example. It's not set for that. It can just be practice, strengthening exercises, and things like that. Would this be adequate for us, or also we're going to go and look for another facility to rent?
We
in
already
addition
have
to
a,
that?
so the use for soccer is only when there's inclement weather and it's too cold for them to actually practice at our facility at Oak Creek. We already have a soccer field at Oak Creek and practice facilities and for games. So this is just like, for example, conditioning of athletes in soccer. Not necessarily they'll kick the ball around, but they're not going to be playing games or scrimmages in that facility. It's primarily for basketball and for volleyball. And it may be some other sports, depending on that'll be indoor kind of sports, not outdoor sports.
Okay.
So it's not soccer thing gets it a little bit, it's not the main purpose. It's just one of the things that we can use it for conditioning of soccer athletes, not for games or scrimmages. We already have a facility at Oak Creek, outdoor facility, soccer field that is used for that there.
Okay, Director Moore, Kunde.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First and foremost, forgive me. I promise I've done all the testing. It's just allergies.
We weren't concerned.
So in my experience, 10 years is still a long time. And I understand that people have to plan and they have to plan far down the road, which is why they offer these 10-year contracts, which makes sense on their end. From my perspective, the only reason that it was a fair deal, if you will, is because there was an escape clause if something happened within a 2, 3, 4 year period. And my question is, if it goes to the state board, can an escape clause then be negotiated or no?
Yes.
Director Baker.
The request that will go to the state board is a draft of, and it would be the terms that I've already shared with you, and we continue to negotiate the other things, but the terms that are in front of you are the terms that the state board was most concerned about.
Okay, I'm not sure if this would help, but this is labeled a resolution to approve a lease agreement. I actually don't see a lease agreement. I see terms. So if it's useful to get a resolution from the board to improve an intent to get a lease agreement, I think that might be possible, so that then when the actual lease agreement is drafted, we get another sort of shot at it to make sure that any discomfort we have about the length of it and our fiduciary responsibility there, that sort of thing. I don't know if that's a possible another step on it, because I mean, this isn't a lease agreement.
Right.
So
Correct.
can we approve you to continue towards a contract and lease agreement and take it to the board with the condition, I guess, for lack of a better word, that we get one final view of it? I mean, is that, I'm at, so like a timeout in this discussion, like Sherry, as legal general counsel, are we able to answer Lauren's question, are we able to modify this for you to continue, to be able to continue, but then still have final visibility and approval of an actual lease agreement? Can we separate contract from lease agreement?
I don't know if I don't know what the state, what's the state gonna require?
They require the board to give me the authority to enter into a contract or lease to move forward.
Can we modify that to say we give you the authority to enter into a lease agreement, but we would like to see the final draft before we sign it, or something similar to that?
I don't think that you would be signing it.
Or
That's the other thing.
before the college signs it.
I mean, actually, that is not unusual practice for us to approve the authority to enter into an
Right.
agreement. And then an agreement comes back to
Yeah.
And
us
we
and
approve that
we
agreement.
Right.
and approve the agreement.
I-
So that's not, it's not unusual. I just
Right.
want to make sure that we're giving the state board what we need, what they need,
Right.
and what you need.
Right, and it's to give me the authority to enter into it. And my understanding is that before I sign anything, before Eva signs anything, you want to see it.
Yes. Do we need to modify the motion in any way to clarify that, or is it the?
Yes.
No, I guess I was a bit confused too about whether or not, once we sent it, could we see it again?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if that's fine, then I'm okay with that.
I
But
can
we
bring,
can't vote on it at that point.
Well, we can vote, well, I don't know, that's the question.
We can or we can't?
We cannot, because we're letting her know right now. Go play.
Well, but we could
Oh.
see it before she signs it.
And
But
see,
then-
you just see it.
You just see.
Yeah.
Well, but if there was a question, would we be able to say, Sherry, can you go back and negotiate on things?
I can always negotiate, but I just have to have the authority, that the
Right.
state requires the authority.
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering. Go ahead.
So let me see, what's my motion? What's our motion here? Who made the motion? I made the motion.
Before the
So-
motion, I have another suggestion.
Okay,
Yeah,
let
go
me
ahead.
just, let me just like
That's
toss
what I
this out
could.
here,
I
because
was
I
like, are
would
you all
say
set?
that
Right.
it would be appropriate this evening to make a motion to authorize the administration to move forward with negotiations on a lease agreement on the property. And then that authority allows you to go negotiate it, go to the state board for approval, come back to us with that lease agreement, which we then still would have the authority to vote on. Now, my only question is where the state board is in that. Because we can create two steps here. One, we authorize you to go negotiate it, and two, then we have to approve it after it's negotiated.
I don't think that's what the state board needs. The state board has told us that they are unwilling to approve it, unwilling to approve our doing this until they have seen the terms. And so I think what we need is an authorization for Sherry to negotiate the terms of a final contract which incorporates the terms and conditions that have been set forth here. It doesn't preclude additional ones, but I don't know if that's even that would be sufficient. But merely authorizing her to continue to negotiate, she already has that authority. The state board's looking for something else, and I don't know if anybody in the room does know exactly what they need, or maybe if Sherry does know, we can articulate it a little better, because right now I think we're acting on the assumption that this isn't going to really be binding, and I'm not sure that the state board is looking for that little.
And Chair, it is what you said. They want me to have the authority to enter into a contract based on the terms that were presented to you. Any other terms I can, and even these terms, I can continue to negotiate, but I have to have the authority to enter into the contract.
What kind of vote is this? Voice?
Is it a voice vote or a roll call? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is it a roll call or a voice vote?
Voice vote, I thought we could do a roll call.
I have another.
Yep, go ahead, Dr. Najib.
Yeah, part of the negotiation, if we can include, I suggested earlier that if we can have the contract for 5 years and then for option to extend for 5 more years, but I was told, no, we cannot do that. So rather, can we make it in a way like an exit strategy? If the project was a failure, for example, hopefully not, but if it is, that this could happen, like in 5 years, we can have an exit strategy, something like that. So part of the negotiation.
I could try to negotiate that. I have to figure out what that looks like.
Okay, go.
Also had, no, I was just saying, Pence also had his hand up.
Go ahead.
It would still cost us $3.5 million though, correct?
For the tenant improvement part, yes.
Yep.
It's true.
So regardless of whom or what, It's gonna cost us 3.5 mil.
But not 900,000 a year.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, Director Pence or Director Burris, I don't know who's first.
First of all, Lauren, you did a great job on the questions. I was impressed. My thoughts on this is, we should make this happen. Sports is discipline. Sports attracts people. Sports will give us the enrollment we need to cover this. Some of the questions about, rental income and things like that, we can develop pricing models off of the usage of the facility. I think if you look at the real estate down here, it's in an absolute prime location. So again, those are my thoughts moving forward with this. If we want to do an exit clause, that's fine. It is a space also that if it does fail, maybe we put classrooms in it at some point. It could be a convertible model that, we could look at it as something different. It's prime real estate that will rent or will do something with or without our long-term lease situation. So.
Go ahead.
Can we do that? Put classrooms there?
I think it's our space. I mean, if we wanted to teach a yoga class or something, pickleball class.
I knew you were going there. You knew it was all about, but I didn't see
I-
all of
I-
this.
I mean,
I'm like, why do they put
See the
pickleball
lines
there?
drawn out.
Right, I mean,
Every board meeting.
that's a question to Sherry and Dr. Cruz. I would think that if we're not seeing the event income and we needed to rethink how we use the space, that we could consider other options that are appropriate for the space, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's also rental options that are probably not listed there, like for example, for events, right? Like actual like bigger events.
Yeah.
I mean, the facility is very large and even the space of and I've been at other institutions where, you put the cover on the flooring
Mhm.
and you could hold, people can hold weddings or
wedding,
galas.
yeah.
I mean, so it is, and there's not a lot of spaces in this area that, there are hotels, right, that have the large spaces, but we could be a great option
Mhm.
at probably a lower cost option and still get that revenue. So I think that there's a lot of ways of using that space to generate revenue over the course of time. I think that, I mean, all have made really great points. The issue is this, that we will try, and through Sherry and I, we'll see what we can go back and see if we can do something with an escape clause, if we can reduce the number of years. I mean, we can do all those things. And at the end of the day, if there's not, whether it's a vote or not from the board, I can take the pulse and see whether or not this is something that we should ultimately go with, right? I mean, whether it's a vote or not, right, from you, I think you have to give us the discretion to kind of, and not discretion like total discretion, but at least try to do, more with negotiation, see what we can do and come away with it. Right now, if we stop this now, it could be delayed. Again, we could delay, we cannot vote on it, you cannot vote on it. And then it would get delayed to like January, right? January board.
Except to get it in the ground and started, they are required to go to the city. The developer is moved to November, so they are on the agenda for November with the city.
Okay, so can we
In their budget.
Can we approve Sherry continuing negotiations with the caveat that we would like to see final numbers and terms before the college signs the final lease?
I would accept that as a friendly amendment.
Yeah. Does that work? We give you the authority to enter into a contract?
That's what has, and then we have the
But we would like-
understanding that we would come back.
Correct.
But I don't know if the next would be a vote, it wouldn't necessarily be an official vote, but it could be an
Right.
unofficial, what I'm saying? like
At some point
discussion
before
of-
the negotiations are complete, right? We would like to review the terms and the numbers so that we can provide input to you as you continue to enter into a contract. Is that?
And what
fair?
timeframe do we think we have there, Sherry, with that, other than the state being after that? Let's say the state says yes.
Mhm.
What's the time frame that we have from there to the point that the developer will really need us to sign?
Because of the way it works with us, it is my understanding that we still have time to negotiate, probably till about, I don't know, December, January. But it's just that this is like the next step for us, will get them to the next step.
Right. And to be fair, we could communicate via email. If the meeting timing doesn't line up. Is that a hand up?
Yeah, just so we're clear, like, so the motion now is being amended. It will go to the states. There can be a contract signed after it's approved there, but we don't get to vote on that portion of it.
Well, she's gonna
We're
enter
voting now,
negotiations first.
right? Like, we're voting now, so we're not amending it to Lauren's, I guess, suggested motion maybe 5 minutes ago, or I guess I'm confused.
Well, so I think it is, we have to give her the authority to enter into a contract. That is what she needs to be able to move forward to the state and to continue negotiations to get final numbers. But we are asking to see the final numbers before it's signed.
Right, but we don't get to vote at that point.
It wouldn't be a vote, but we'd be able to provide input and feedback to Sherry and provide any concerns that we would have, and we have her agreement that she would not sign until negotiations are satisfied.
Complete, sure.
I'm guessing at words. That's the only reason I'm laughing. I don't know what the right word is.
Okay, original question, I think I had a couple minutes.
But it's not a vote. It's not a vote. It wouldn't be a second vote.
Okay, so is this a voice vote?
Well, but then what is it? But then what is it?
Yeah, because then it's meaningless.
I mean, it's not that we want to see the final terms, it's that we
That's
want
what
to
I'm
have the
saying.
ability to say, no, we don't want to move forward.
Can I say something? Yeah.
And I don't want to vote no, but.
Go ahead.
We can give her the full authority to negotiate the contract and to sign it too. But by our request that she comes and present the final negotiated contract to us, at that time of our feedback to her, then she can make a decision. She still cannot sign it or not sign it. But after she hear our reaction to it, if, for example, let's assume it wasn't really acceptable to us, she had the authority to not sign it at that time. And if we give approval for that at that time without voting, then she still has the authority to sign it.
So could we vote on approval to give you the authority to enter into a contract, but ask that we are able to have a later vote on the specific terms separate from your authority from the contract? I don't know how to word that exactly. I need the lawyers to jump in.
So, what'd you say before?
Maybe I could suggest that, I think the title of our resolution was,
Problem?
problematic for me, because I don't have a lease agreement in front of me. But I think that I feel comfortable saying that we can have a resolution for the board to authorize the administration to enter into the necessary negotiations to follow the terms established here for a lease agreement with Jeffers. And I'm very comfortable with us doing that. And I might even say including the concerns of the board that were raised here as you're negotiating, like whether there's an ability to create a escape clause, et cetera, that sort of thing. But I get the sense from the colleagues that people are uncomfortable with not having a final look then to actually see the lease before we say yes to it.
Can we separate the vote
Yeah,
for
sure you can.
contract
Could you
approval
authorize-
versus these final terms?
You authorize
So that
them
means-
to enter into negotiations
Right.
and then
Well,
you approve what they've negotiated.
Right, because she's saying we need the you need the approval, we need our approval to enter into a contract. That doesn't mean you necessarily have to enter into a contract, correct? You could bargain to impasse and say, we're walking away.
Yes.
right?
I really think once we can give her full authority, but with the condition, just if she show us the final contract before she signs it, that's the only thing. And then after she meet with us, before she signed it, still she has the authority to sign or not sign.
Can we change the amendment to say, we authorize you to enter into contract
Lease
negotiations, whatever, and then also have a separate vote on terms of the lease?
But it's the negotiation part. That means I
It's
don't
gonna
have
negotiate.
authority.
Because
to
what happens?
enter-
Right, right.
What happens if, so what, I think just practical stuff. You
Yep.
know, if we get to the point, let's say we bring it back, and Sherry negotiates for whatever, a month, because we're a couple of weeks, because really, we're not gonna have a lot of time
Right.
between now and December, really.
Mhm.
So Sherry goes, negotiates, gets certain terms, maybe gets the lease down to 5 years, 7 years, whatever. The question is now, it gets brought back to the board for a vote. Is it gonna be hands down or up or down? Because we're not gonna go back, there's no going back again to negotiate. I mean, that's very difficult to, I think that's unrealistic to think it's gonna happen before the end of the year, to go back and forth like that. Unless there's like certain things, like for example, you already noted several things
Right.
that need, or you would like to see changed, right? But what you've noted a few of them, what happens when we come back and those things change, and then there's other things now that come up? So is it a comprehensive list? Do we have a comprehensive list of things? Do we need a comprehensive list of some of the things that we need to address in negotiation? Right now, it seems like the term, right, the length of the term.
Seems like a big
Seems
issue.
a big issue, right? Or
Exit strategy.
exit strategy or whatever. It seems to be those two. Is there anything else that seems to be of great concern that can be addressed during those negotiations, right? Trying to get that now
Right.
versus like later, then trying to go, then it's like, we come back, we do that, then is it just gonna be like a up or down vote at that point? Or is it gonna be, oh, go back and do, I don't know if we have the time for that second part.
Right.
Have you, Dr. Cruz, you've met with Josh a few times and discussed this? Is it something to be done quickly? Is it something that?
Well, just based on what Sherry's saying, there's a time frame for them trying to break ground and trying to be, you know, because this is just one part of the whole project, right? It's not just that part of the facility. It's a much bigger project with housing and all the other elements to it. So we can find out what that real time frame is, you know, to see how far we can push that. But I'm just trying to understand. I understand that there's concerns, and maybe it's not a comprehensive list of concerns. And maybe you could still vote on something. We can get more comprehensive list of concerns, and then Sherry has a better view of what we need to be looking at for negotiation. Otherwise, I think it's going to be very hard, like, because I'm like that. You know, I look at it once, it's going to be a certain thing. I look at it again, I might come up with another. It's human nature, you know, I'll find something else that it may be concerning. And I know that some of you haven't been able to look at the entire thing as well. So it's like.
Well, go ahead.
That's me.
Oh, no, Lally, go
No,
ahead.
let him go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Dr. Najib.
Yeah, so I see it. I agree. I said up and down vote. If most our concern is taken care of, definitely yes. But if we find something really like unacceptable to most of us, gonna be also down vote. That's up and down vote. No more negotiation.
Do we really think that Sherry would negotiate something that would be unacceptable to the college?
I don't think so.
I think it's not up to Sherry, so.
Well, but
Sherry can try to negotiate it, but what the point is, let's say, for example, if the sticking point is the length, right? And we can't get the length to be less than 10, and she negotiates and tries to get it down, but it doesn't happen, right? Not because Sherry didn't try, but because they didn't accept it, then it may not be acceptable to the board, right? I mean, it seems that right now that's the sticking point. So if she can't get it down to 5 years or 7 years or 5 years and an exit, is that going to be a breaking point? Or a game breaker?
It seemed, rather than even the length, I think that if there is an exit strategy, it seems to me that that's a thing. And here again, it's just because it's new territory, and if we're unable to create, revenue to cover, I think that's then, and there's some experience with other public bodies that that those things have not always worked, and so I think that's in my mind, it sounds like that's a bigger thing than just the length of it, because it's, in 5 years, whoa, we got ourselves into this thing and we can't get out, sort of thing. And maybe there is, and maybe we've already sort of talked about that there is a thing where if we can find another suitable tenant, whatever, and maybe that just needs to be in writing. But I do think there's anxiety around that. That's what I hear. I will tell you, I laid out my questions, and most of my questions were answered sufficiently.
So the question I have for the board then is there anything other than what either the length or the exit, is there anything else that is a game breaker or something that needs to be addressed in negotiations? Just to get it to narrow it down to, because I think it's important to narrow it down to what the issue may be.
I'll say just the ability to have an exit strategy is my biggest concern. And I will feel more comfortable if we can just say approve lease negotiations as opposed to agreement. Because that just leaves us liable of saying like, well, you agree to these terms. And I don't know if anybody could come back legally, you two are the experts. But if anybody can come back and say legally, well, you approve it at this board meeting and we have to go with those terms, even if they change later.
So I have one question about this. So if for example, Sherry goes and tries to negotiate this next week, right? Is there a possibility of taking a vote
Yes.
without a board meeting? I mean, it'd be a board meeting, but I'm saying a special board meeting or a
do it
special board
online.
meeting.
We could do it virtually. Like in a week, Beth can work on people's schedules, and we've done that before to do a special vote. Just one thing, do we know, does the state board need to see a fully executed contract? No.
They see a draft. I just need the authority to enter into a contract.
Okay, so it's not, they don't need to see this.
They're gonna see this, they're gonna see this.
So how about we,
They're gonna see the document.
That's what I'm saying, like, how do we change the wording to get Sherry the authority that she needs to proceed, but also then,
I would just change the word lease agreement to lease negotiation.
but I think she needs us
I
to
think
say,
we.
I need the authority
That's
to
a
enter
caveat.
into a
Contract
contract, an
or
agreement, something, but not the I can't,
we.
because
Right.
the state board is making the assumption when they gave us the first authority that this time has been our negotiation period and we're ready to move forward.
Okay, but
So I like Dr. Cruz's suggestion of give these guys another period of time for the board to all digest some of this. It sounds like it was kind of.
Well, and maybe it's my fault, but I think that, and I'll have to do a better job next time of doing this, that it shouldn't be a surprise. Like, this should not be a surprise to any of you. I mean, it's been either on the agenda or not on the agenda, but like creeping on the agenda for a few months now. So, I need to do a better job because it doesn't, at this point, it seems like it's not clear to everybody, and that's okay. I mean, that's understandable. You didn't have time to review the information. You didn't have, the information wasn't sent earlier. To see because this issue of the 10 years is a big issue, right? So we definitely need to address it. So let's
just give her the authority.
well, I mean, the thing is that you have to then trust that we will do the right thing. Not necessarily we won't come back, that you trust that we will come back with that. As she continues to negotiate. We're not going to sit on it and not negotiate. Like, we leave this meeting today and you would have to trust that we will continue negotiating and then bring it back.
Within, like, this is a thing of doing this in a week or 10 days or something?
As soon as possible, because we can't really put a.
Well, I mean, even going to the board, I don't even think the state board, even going to the state board with this, if we're not sure. And we're going to the state board and the state board approves it, I don't even know what that's gonna look like.
Okay. Right.
See what I'm saying?
But I think that we all want this to work if we can make the numbers and the details work. I think you have board support for this,
Okay.
right? It's just the details and the nuances that we're feeling a little insecure. So I think that there is trust in the administration and we do want this to happen, right?
Mhm.
And so it's just that little bit of what does it look like for us to be able to see the final terms before it gets signed?
And I think that saying 10 or 15 days might not be enough, so maybe just as soon as you have it,
Right.
which could be maybe 70 days. I mean,
I'll go back to my question. So you said the terms. So is there anything else?
I
that
think,
we should be
let
looking
me
at?
rephrase. It's not the terms. I think we've talked about the big terms. It's just the actual final numbers in those terms, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't.
I won't have CAM charges, I won't have taxes. If that's
Yeah,
the
that's-
concern, I won't
that-
have.
Right, we don't,
That's
we,
something that's
honestly, I
impossible
don't know
to
that
figure out.
anybody's concerned with that and
Yeah.
and that's reasonable. We understand that there is property taxes that are out of our control and that we will pay a portion of that. I think is fine. So I think to your question, the concern is really the exit strategy. If there is an exit clause,
yeah.
I think that's.
That
So-
seems to
That's
be
my
the biggest.
one.
Okay.
So. So can we amend the motion to say you, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm, one. This is my first time speaking about this publicly.
Mhm.
Because there's been such a gray area of what we could and couldn't talk about.
Mhm.
One, two. I'm doing a very good job at preventing my bias from creeping in from my trauma and dealing with the FISA forum cell when I was on the county board. The biggest thing is a vote that we would take not being binding. Like if Sherry was to come back and say, this is what they want, and we could say, oh, well, this is or is not what we want, that vote that we would take then would not be binding. It would be about the decision that Sherry would make, and Sherry's a wonderful individual. I don't think she would do this, but if I'm on the other side of that negotiation, it's easier to convince one person than 9. And so then is it like, okay, I know this is what that board says, but you and I have had conversations. Why don't we just do this? And we've given her the authority to enter into a contract. It's not just enter into negotiations and then come back and have a binding vote. We've given her that authority and we no longer have it. And I've been in situations where I gave up my authority to have a binding decision. And that, I think that in this vote, that's what we would be doing. Given periods of time of negotiation, if there's, or periods of time to figure out what we want to do at the basis, when it comes back to us to look at it, that's all we do is look at it. We don't have any binding authority at that point. And if I'm wrong, someone tell me.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sorry, Dr. Najib, go ahead.
I see it as two solutions for that. Either we'll give her the authority to enter in the contract, and we request to see the final contract before signing. Or we don't give her the authority right now. We tell her we're not ready to give the authority, continue negotiation, and come back then with our concern answered. Then we'll enter in give her the authority to enter the contract.
Would it be appropriate for us to table this motion? Give the, with the administration knowing the board's principal concern seems to be whether there is a way for us to get out if we don't find it living up to whatever. And when is the state board meeting?
November 12th.
Of November. Okay. And that the assumption in that is that you would come back to us in a reasonable amount of time so that you'll be able to get things ready for the state board. And that we would have an online vote of the board. Would that give you enough time to work with this feedback, or are we just stalling?
When would it have to, the board have to have that?
The packet was due a couple of weeks ago. So I submitted everything except for the lease, waiting on the vote. I could call and see if how long they'll hold it. We are on the agenda already.
But do you have the lease already drawn up with its terms?
With these terms, yes.
So the state has approved this once already, correct?
Preliminary.
Preliminary, correct.
Preliminary, but it's not approved until the second vote. The idea, right? So they approved the idea. We had to provide them with additional information, which it came back to us a couple times on. And then we've provided that information. So the only piece that's missing is board approval.
So they've been interactive in this situation already.
Yes.
So when was the initial proposal due for?
September 27th is when their board documents were due. I believe it was the 27th.
So we tabling, we voting. Lauren?
So, to be fair, I totally trust the people who
Right.
are negotiating this, and I want this to happen. I
I
had a
agree, so-
long-term relationship with this college. We have something called enterprise funds. In my tenure here, there have been a variety of times where we were going to make money in our enterprise funds so that one fund, one center would help support another center, and there have been problems in that. So, to be fair, this is not about, to me anyway. I want this project to work and I trust the people who are doing it. I don't understand, I don't have experience, and I haven't seen the college's experience in having something like this happen in the generation of funds. And so I'm just looking for that peace of mind to be able to say that we will spend $900,000 of the taxpayers' money every year, plus 30,000 in, rent and paying on the note on. I mean, I'm ready to do that. I need a little peace of mind, and I think that I'm hearing from my colleagues, the thing about the escape clause and just sort of like understanding that part of the business plan. And I think I've been paying attention all along, but I might have missed it in a presentation. I'm usually paying attention.
Yeah, so I know that the Milwaukee Bucks say that they probably will lease from us to do camps. Do we have a letter of intent from them on file or anything somewhat formal?
We will enter into an agreement with them for them to pay us $100,000 a year.
But we don't have nothing, like not even a letter of intent yet.
I have a letter from Peter Fagan saying they will pay us.
So we do have that.
Yes.
Okay, so that makes me feel a little bit better. We could have led with that.
Also side note, so I shared this with Dr. Cruz. I don't know if you guys saw when he announced that they're building the new music venue. He referenced that he's excited about this project and the facility with MATC. So it was in the press release when they were doing the groundbreaking for the new music venue that they're building.
Yeah, but I mean, put it in a press release and having a letter of intent.
No, I completely agree. I completely agree.
That makes me feel a little better, actually.
Go ahead.
So from a legal standpoint, is a 5-year, 5 renewal agreement the same as a 10-year agreement?
No, not in the WTCS system. We'd have to go back through the whole review again, which would mean the 2-step process, even though the project is already built. So if we do 5 with 5 renewal at the renewal every renewal period, you have to go back and go through the whole TCS process again.
So if our major concern is escape language or being able to negotiate ourselves out of it, if something happened, if it doesn't come to fruition, is the only real thing holding us up, can we give Sherry the authority to negotiate, enter into a contract, knowing that that is an ask of ours? And trust her to solve it and negotiate a solution?
I agree.
Feel better.
Is that? Do I have to change, do we have to change?
It would have to be
the-
best effort, right? Like, I
Right,
mean,
yes.
But you can't get
We
it.
really have
done.
to approve this
It's
now.
done
Right,
already,
that's what I'm saying. We have raised, our concern is if possible, we would like some sort of language that either enables us to negotiate a sublease working with Jeffers or an exit strategy or an escape clause or something. If we get to a point, fully understanding we have to pay back the 3.5 million that we spent, right? But to potentially stop the continued lease payments if the college finds itself in a place where it's not feasible.
Correct.
We would like some language that says that they will work with us in some way to enable that to happen.
Absolutely.
If
Friendly amendment.
friendly amendment, can we, what's the best way to phrase that amendment that we can all vote on?
It's a long amendment.
So what if we?
I think
think-
what you have to do
Okay.
is, we authorize the administration to approve a to
Enter into a
enter
contract.
into a contract with Jeffers, blah, da, da. With the understanding that the board has instructed the administration to negotiate terms for potential early
Exit
release
strategy.
from the contract.
Yeah, or an exit strategy in general, whatever that might be.
Early release sounds a little like I'm
Well,
coming
yeah,
out.
that's part of it.
Right.
That's
Good time off for good behavior.
Use its best efforts to enter into an exit strategy.
Yes,
If it
yes.
don't happen, we just stuck with it.
So how about, a
Yes, no.
motion to approve the administration entering into a contract with Jeffers, acknowledging that it will do its best to enable a exit strategy or sublease negotiation if possible. Does that work?
Beth is
Do I
over
have
there
a
scribbling?
Bev has run out of paper.
It's on you until we'll have it.
There you go.
Okay, do I have a
I will
motion?
accept that as a friendly amendment.
And I will second that again.
All
It's a
right,
friendly amendment.
okay. Any last words or comments? Or
There was a request before for a roll call vote. Is that still
Yes.
the case, or is this a voice vote?
are
It
we
is a
okay?
voice normally. but
Yeah,
there was a
we only have to
request.
do a voice vote. Are we comfortable doing a voice vote?
I'd rather a roll call.
Okay,
Same.
okay, fine, not a problem. Any last comments online? Okay, Beth, can we have a roll call vote?
Dr. Najib,
Aye.
Director Owen Moore,
She's excused at this
Yeah.
point.
Director Pence,
I,
Director Baker,
Aye.
Director Burris,
Nay.
Director Foley,
Aye.
Director Mendieta Ramos,
Aye.
Director Mormon-Kunde,
Hey,
Director Case.
Aye. Are we sufficient with the majority?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so, motion passes with the majority. Thank you.
Thank you. That was extended.
Wow, thank you.
It was extended.
For your patience, Sherry.
All right. Next item on the agenda, the preliminary review, the first read of the presidential evaluation instrument, part A. So you should have in your board documents the current evaluation instrument and a proposal that changes the scale. This is a first read, so feel free to take it, provide feedback, take a look, and then we'll see it again in our next meeting. Any initial questions?
And Dr. Cruz, you're
Yeah.
comfortable with
Yes.
this tool?
Yeah, I looked at it, yes.
Okay.
That was gonna be my question.
Got a question.
Go ahead.
Is this like similar to the same that we had with Dr. Martin?
Yeah, so if you look at, you should have both of them, so it's just the rating scale that changed, you should have the currently approved instrument and then the proposed second one. But yes, it's been reviewed by Denise as well as shared with Dr. Cruz prior to coming to the board.
what's the process? Is it, do we get to fill it in?
Yeah, so this is just the instrument. So we previously approved the goals. Denise, correct me if I misspeak, please. We previously approved the goals and we would have an opportunity again in January if we want to do amendment to any of Dr. Cruz's goals.
So you previously approved the goals in June.
Yes.
2024. There will be a verbal mid-year review for Dr. Cruz in January. If there's something that you think he needs to focus on more, you discuss that with him during that time.
Right. So this is just the instrument itself. His goals were already approved and we can discuss that through that
Keep
process.
in mind one thing too, is the reason you approved it in June as opposed to when Dr. Cruz came is because when those goals were approved, they were pushed down to others who made goals as well. So when you make a big change to it, it's going to affect a number of people. So you gotta watch what be mindful of that as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on that agenda item?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just a quick comment. I think one of the reasons I wanted us to take another look at this is because we continue to get comments when we try to apply the old instrument to the effect of, I didn't read it the same way somebody else did. I didn't understand the question that was being posed. And we've changed this instrument, I think, 3 times since I've been on the board, and we still seem to have some difficulties with that. So I would encourage everyone to look carefully at it from that perspective. Do you fully understand what it is you would be evaluating? And do you have any doubts about whether you would have the information needed to evaluate when we get to it? If so, we should address that now. That's all I have.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, moving on to reports. Chairperson's reports. ACCT Governance Leadership Institute, January 17th, 2025. The District Boards Association has arranged for the ACCT to present a program in Madison on January 17th, 2025 for the members of the district boards, including all of us. The District Boards Association is in the process of finalizing the specific topics, which are determined by a polling of the 144 district board members who are members of the DBA. We will forward this information when it becomes available. Chair Foley and I encourage all of you to participate. We also encourage the board training working group to attend and incorporate the materials from this event into our own annual board training program. Fall DBA meeting, November 20th to 22nd, 2024. The District Boards Association's 2024 fall meeting will be held from November 20th through the 22nd at Fox Valley Technical College in Appleton. The featured speaker will be Dr. Maureen Dunn, author of The Neurodiversity Edge, who will be presenting on the topic of neurodivergence in the workplace. Please let Beth or Peter know if you would like to be registered. Early voting information, a reminder that the downtown campus will be an early voting site for employees and members of the community who are City of Milwaukee residents. Early voting dates are Tuesday, October 22nd through Saturday, October 26th, and Monday, October 28th through Saturday, November 2nd. Hours are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday, and 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday. Voting will be held in the downtown campus S building, room S114. Voters may use the main student center entrance along 6th and West State Streets. 15-minute voter parking will be available along West State Street. Winter commencement. The college will hold its winter commencement on Saturday, December 14th at Fiserv Forum, beginning at 11 a.m. Board members are encouraged to attend. Please let Beth or Peter know if you are attending so that they can order your regalia, which takes several weeks to arrive. Video recordings. Last month during new business, the topic of board recordings was raised. Here is what we can report on that topic. There is a short delay of a few minutes before the live stream begins, which has caused some video recordings to be cut off. To address this, we've implemented a procedure where the board chair will confirm with marketing that the stream is live before officially starting the meeting. The live stream function cannot be paused and will automatically stop when the board enters a closed session. The college is not required to record or live stream any meetings. We acknowledge the practice of live streaming monthly board meetings, was established several years ago, and we will continue to live stream as long as the technology is available and functioning. Mission and vision. Considerations for the new strategic plan. Per accreditation standards from the Higher Learning Commission, the Board of Directors has responsibility to review and affirm or revise the college's mission and vision as part of the strategic planning. The board comprehensively reviewed and updated the mission and vision during the 2019-2020 strategic planning process. The current mission and vision are displayed behind me and at cards at your seat. The current members were polled with a 7-to-1 response in favor of reaffirming the current mission and vision. Additionally, during the recent MATC Day workshop on strategic planning held on October 15th, a poll of employees showed that 75% expressed satisfaction or enthusiasm for the mission and vision. And that concludes the chairperson's report. I'll turn it over to Dr. Cruz.
Thank you.
I have a question though. You said there was a 7-to-1 response to what, keeping it?
To reaffirm it. Yes.
Okay. Almost good evening. It's there. Good evening, board and faculty, staff, and students. So I have a few things to update you on. On October 3rd, we had Milwaukee PBS teamed up with the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel to present a town hall on the future of manufacturing. And the event featured a job fair, which was followed up by a panel discussion. We had a pretty good group there. I want to special thanks to Debbie Hamlet and to Director Pence for their support of the event. I think it was a really nice event, bringing in different manufacturers. Students got to see, talk to employers, make those kind of connections that are very important for their future. And then on top of that, listen to individuals that are top-notch people from the manufacturing community talk about the future of manufacturing. NSF grant, MATC, MPS, and WestEd have been awarded a grant from the National Science Foundation to explore strategies for expanding access to improving outcomes in dual enrollment math classes for traditionally underrepresented students in higher ed, called the Milwaukee Mathematics Dual Enrollment Equity Pathways Project. As we know, dual enrollment is a great pathway for students to get acclimated to higher ed, to get those credits that really put them step ahead of others, and definitely in the math area, that's something that I think is really important. So that's great that we'll be working on that project, and it's a 1-year collaborative. On October 15th, we had MATC Day, and it's the first time that we had it at the Baird Center. And I think the employees were very happy that day with we had a great speaker come in, motivational speaker, talk about sense of belonging. Dr. Strayhorn, which is one of the top academic people in the country when it comes to sense of belonging, came in and talked about building belonging, fostering mattering and connections on campus and beyond. And then in the afternoon, employees had the ability to go to several breakout sessions and workshops on AI, restorative practices, and strategic planning. So I want to special thanks to the MATC Day Committee, as well as our Vice President Bonds and her team led by Jane Beyer. MATC hosts Farm Factory Fork event for the first time. I was really honored to welcome 150 students from 9 local high schools to a food and beverage Wisconsin event on October 16th right here at downtown campus. The event, Farm Factory Fork Career Discovery, is an annual event, and we were very fortunate to host it here and help out Fab Wisconsin when it comes to making students understand the opportunities there are in the food and beverage industry, and mostly in the manufacturing industry, not necessarily in the hospitality end. Marketing communications in September, MATC Marketing Communications earned 7 regional awards from the National Council for Marketing and Public Relations, the marketing affiliate of the American Association of Community Colleges. We won gold medals for Academic Catalog, Transformations Magazine for Excellence in Writing, and the new showcase inside the Student Center. Additionally, received a silver medal for Recruitment View Book, along with silver and bronze medals for our writing excellence. Our submissions outperformed entries from 2-year colleges across Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Ontario, and Wisconsin. So congratulations to Tony and his team for a job well done. This month, we launched presidential roundtables. This is a way for, in the future, it'll be a way for me and actually for the college to learn more about what people are thinking, leaders are thinking about the college and the direction of the college. We just started those just a week ago, and we've invited community education and business leaders to take part in these, and we'll be having them on each campus. We've already had them at Oak Creek and here at downtown. We'll be moving along with the other campuses through the next couple of months to make sure that we're listening to our community leaders and alumni. So it's a really great way of making those interactions. In addition to that, we focused these roundtables for this fall on the strategic planning process, making sure that those community members kind of understand the scope of what we're doing with our strategic plan, and also get feedback from them as to what we can do and how we can align ourselves better with the community and community needs. And those have gone very, very well. On Friday, October 18th, Directors Baker and Foley joined me in celebrating the opening of the exhibit Raising the Flag, Milwaukee's Rich History of Pride, presented by Wisconsin's LGBTQ History Project and MATC's Pride Alliance. This exhibit features photos, stories, and testimonials that showcase Milwaukee's rich history about Pride, including insights from MAT's own history. And we know that last June we raised the Pride flag, and that actually was encased and put in the archives here at MATC as a way of memorializing that occasion and making it part of the archives at the institution. Enrollment update, really not a lot has changed since the last time we met. We are still up 5% from where we were last year in FTE, so that's going very, very well. We're gearing up towards getting registration going for our spring semester. And I'll be giving more updates on enrollment as we get closer to that, you know, the rollout of the semester and how registration goes for the spring semester. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Director Pence, Treasurer's report. Yeah, you're on the agenda.
No, first time here. So just wanted to, you know, give some feedback and things monthly in case there's any questions or criticism or heckling or anything else. But next month we have the trust accounts meeting again. The first meeting went well. There was I have a lot of confidence in our provider. We ran through with Eva, we ran through the process of the draws and how all that system works. I think this month I want to take a little bit deeper dive into the board policy. My first read on it is it's actually really good. So I think we're going to go after that a little bit. And then there was, you know, with the market being up and a fee reduction that we were shown this last month, we'll be able to show a pretty substantial fee reduction in the accounts there. I also have the internal audit committee. I'm working with Brian to get a little bit better agendas and things so that when we come together, it's a little bit more substantial from the partners that come here from there's you know, Gateway and another person from Marquette that comes in and helps us to look at things. We talked about the financials a little bit. Eva was worked with you know, dividing up some of the line items. If there's anything else you'd like to see within the financials, you know, email or call. There was a little talk about enterprise things. I had the thought of also doing a consolidated financials across the enterprises at some point, if that is a structural possibility. I guess I would like to see it. It would, you know, encompass all of them. We'd have a little bit better snapshot of things and how they work. I'm kind of working on a grant situation, and I'm circumnavigating it a little bit. There's a partnership between Rockwell and UWM on AI for manufacturing I'm going to be involved as a manufacturer, and Dr. Cruz volunteered somebody from here to also attend. I don't really know what all of it's about. I know that we're gonna be, the manufacturing side is gonna be breaking out into round tables and figuring out what that means. So I don't know where it's gonna go. We did Dr. Cruz drafted a letter of interest in this program. It's a regional grant situation through the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and we'll just see where it goes. That's it for this time.
Thank you. Next, we have our district state student senate report. Warren Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Case. Thank you, Dr. Cruz, members of the board, administration, and MATC community. I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited to share some updates from DSA for the month. I'm pleased to say our legislation combining the board representative and DSA chair positions has officially passed, and I'm looking forward to continuing with you all this year.
Congrats.
Thank you. Recently, DSA leaders attended the Wisconsin Student Government Leadership Training meeting that was at Nicolet College. Brian Moriarty, our DSA treasurer, presented a report on behalf of MATC and was very well received. The leadership training was very informative, and we're looking forward to the February legislative seminar, where we'll meet with state legislators to discuss needs for two-year colleges in Wisconsin. For the upcoming holidays, DSA has decided to partner with Recruitment to host a toy drive for the West Dallas community. The drive will start in November and end in December, where prospective students with families can come and pick out some holiday gifts. We hope to impact the community and spread some joy while also marketing the college. Personally, I was really impressed with our recruitment team. They seemed eager to make a difference. Another current DSA project involves partnering with our public safety and marketing departments to assist in planning and hosting the Public Safety Day, which is scheduled for early November. DSA is happy to be involved in this event, and especially an event that will highlight resources available to students regarding safety, as safety is paramount on campus. With that, we will also be participating in recording some updated safety videos that will feature MATC students around campus. I can't say enough about how receptive and excellent the public safety and marketing staff have been with our team, and I know I speak for all of DSA when I say we feel heard, appreciated, and involved. And more good news, Zanea Joshua, the MATC Times editor-in-chief, is up for an Associated College Press Reporter of the Year award. Definitely. It's a very prestigious award, and it shows the quality of work that MATC Times produces. The winner will be decided at a College Media Association conference in New Orleans on November 2nd. So I look forward to bringing back the results. Fingers crossed, but obviously even being nominated is an honor. Lastly, I've been impressed with our voter engagement groups on campus. While the opportunity to learn about our elections has been continuously present, it hasn't felt overbearing. I'm looking forward to a few large civic engagement events that we have planned. As far as election day approaches, I plan to exercise my civic rights through voting, and I urge you to remember, regardless of outcome, we're all on the same team. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, moving on to board monitoring. We'll do the PACE Employee Climate Survey results. Can I have Vice President Bonds? Yes, thank you.
Hello again. I'm just gonna keep introducing myself because I like saying my name. I'm Elle Bonds Jones, Vice President of Human Resources. I'm here to talk to you all about our PACE outcomes for 2024. Next slide, please. So for those of you unfamiliar, PACE is our biennial climate survey. We issue every 2 years. The last one was issued 2022 April. So this one was issued also in April of 2022. Results came back in August. PACE stands for the Personal Assessment of the College Environment, and it helps us to have a picture of how employees are experiencing their work environment at MATC. Next slide, please. So the survey is broken into 4 categories. Each category has a little over 20 questions. One is related to the institutional structure. So how we align with our mission, leadership, decisions, and communication within the college. And then the next one is supervisory relationships, which is how employees are experiencing their interactions with their supervisor. The next one is teamwork and looking at the spirit of cooperation. And then the fourth one is the student focus, which looks at how we support our students while they're here and how we prepare them for life outside of MATC. Next slide, please. That's the slide. Okay. So we did have a really good response. We had a 47% completion rate. If you're familiar with online survey completion rates, that it's usually like a 20-25%, which is an acceptable margin for completion. We had 47% or 925 employees to respond, a little bit down from 2022, but definitely not a lack of effort. We had some new initiatives that we tried to get more folks to respond, but we're still pleased with 47%. Also, I think it's helpful to point out that the national average for PACE completion is 48%. So we did well there. The categories of employees who responded are there, which is also really even to 2022. In 2022, we had 10% of administrators to respond. We had 40% of faculty. We had over 40% for staff. So the numbers are relatively similar as well. Next slide, please.
I have a question. Do we wait for questions?
No,
after
go ahead.
or in the middle?
No, you can, go ahead.
So my question was the last slide. I think watching the video, you said that you sent this out to 2,000 employees. Okay, typically, how long does a survey stay out there before you start collecting results? And then how are the employees selected that the survey goes to? Is this like the same batch that also did, you know, in previous years, or is this like a new batch? Like there's like a different group?
It's sent to all employees. So with the exception of like student workers, so we don't send it to student workers, but it's sent to part-time faculty, full-time faculty, and part and full-time non-faculty.
Okay, so across the board, it's sent to all faculty. Okay. And so how long is it left out or open?
Jane, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. Yes, it was out for, it's a 3-week period that they're provided. And during that time, we provide reminders weekly and the week ahead, as well as email reminders to complete it.
And this year, we also did push notifications via text.
Awesome. Great response, obviously, as far as respondents. So.
Thank you. Next slide, please. And so this is our overall institutional score. You can see in 22, we scored a 3.47, and we are up to a 3.55, which we're very, very happy about the progress there. Any score between a 3 and a 4 means that you do have a healthy campus climate. I understand that that's maybe not everybody's experience. Everybody has a different experience, and every organization has challenges. We're going to keep listening. We're going to keep doing the work and following up, but we are also going to celebrate this because this is progress and we're excited about it. I didn't mention in the beginning that I did also do a video. I hope that people were able to watch the video because the video actually goes into some of the strategies that were implemented in the last 2 years that maybe contributed to the increased climate factor rating. Is there anything I want to say on this one? I may need to come back to it. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. The top 5 areas of strength are identified here. I'll read them. I feel that my job is relevant to the institution's mission. This institution prepares students for a career. Student diversity is important at this institution. My supervisor or chair expresses confidence in my work, and this institution prepares students for further learning. Really excited about this slide. We received increases in every one of those this year. We also broke into the level, the 4s, got out of the 3s, broke into the 4s for 4 of the 5 categories, which we're really excited about. I think the other thing to point out is while these are our top 5 areas of strength, the PACE had 89 questions and 70 of them had higher scores. So I thought that was pretty impressive. I also like the idea that the #1 scoring comment on here is about people feeling that they are connected to the mission, which is really important because people that feel that are definitely more engaged, they're more productive, they're more likely to stick around. Go to the next slide, please. And these are our top areas for opportunity. 1 is the institution is appropriately organized. The 2nd is administrative processes are clearly defined. The 3rd is I'm able to appropriately influence the direction of the institution. The 4th is decisions are made at the appropriate level at the institution. And the 5th is I have the opportunity for advancement in the institution. Now this is, again, these are perceptions about how people are perceiving their college environment. I think what's good about this slide is that in 4 of the 5 areas, we did get higher. We did move the needle, even if it's slightly. We want to get closer to 3, obviously, but work was done and things have improved. To the last one, where we went down, the data doesn't necessarily support that. I just want to mention, because I think it's important to mention that over 60% of our jobs are given to our internal employees. And of that amount, 82% of them are promotions. And then our hiring is over 50% people of color. So yes, Director Baker.
If I can. Yeah, I appreciate that. Again, as you pointed out, this is people's perception.
Sure.
Yeah. I just, to compare the slide before
Yeah.
and this slide, it's interesting. And I think it tells us where we need to be working. Because the slide before this, where we're rated really high, are essentially about the mission of the college. It's like, I feel my work is important and I feel the institution does, good things for students and, diversity is important, but it's really about the mission. And then this slide is a little more about our management. This is about how people are perceiving the administration is working with them. And so that was like pretty stark for me when I took a look at those 2 slides next to each other.
Yeah, I would agree. I also found it interesting that if you were to go onto Google and just do a search of PACE and then EDU, you'll see a lot of the schools that posted their PACE results. These 5 are in a lot of people's, in a college's areas of opportunity, some variation of those 5. So it's not unique to the college, but it is something that we're going to continue to work on. Next slide, please. And this is the disaggregated data based on race for the respondents. It is showing, this is larger for me. It is showing the climate factor scores for individuals based on their racial category. And so the findings is basically, so remember our institutional score was a 3.55. It's showing that our Asian American population scored the highest at like a 3.7. And then there was almost like a 3-way tie between our African American, Hispanic, and 2 or more race categories where they were at 3.64, 3.61, 3.61. So it seems like our employees of color are rating their work environment and their employee experience higher than other categories. Next slide, please. So we have communicated the outcomes. We had the President's Advisory Council reviewed the outcomes and we had discussions with them and gathered feedback from that group. We also met with the leaders of the college and received feedback from that group. And then we were able to present this at MATC Day. We have 396 responses from employees. So we're going to gather all of that feedback. We're also going to further disaggregate the data to look at it by division because the institutional highs and lows are not necessarily the same for each division. And so we want to get that information, compile all the feedback that we've gathered, and then the divisional leads will get together and create action plans for how we're going to build on our strengths and then strategies for improvement for the next pay cycle. Next slide. Thank you.
Any other questions in the room? Any questions online?
Nope.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have strategic planning updates.
Thank you. And I have a couple slides that I think Jake is going to queue up. And I want to say thank you for inviting an update on strategic planning. My name is Jennifer Mikule, and I'm Director for Quality Planning and Assessment in our Institutional Effectiveness Division. And my understanding is that you asked to learn more about why MATC does strategic planning, how we use the plans that we create, and what the timeline is for the process that's taking place during the current fiscal year. So I'm going to walk through those items briefly for you, and then if you want more details, I can share those in the future. So next slide. The reason that we do strategic planning, a big reason, is because our accreditation standards require it. So we are required to do systematic planning for the purpose of quality improvement. In the 2019-2020 fiscal year, we created Transformation 2025, which is the 5-year plan that we're working on now. It led to increased rates of graduation and transfer. It helped us make technology available to all of our students, and it helped us to foster a more inclusive environment on our campuses. And all of these improvements came about thanks to the focused efforts that were guided by the strategic plan and enacted through the college's aligned annual college-wide goal setting. So we're now nearing the end of Transformation 2025 plan, and with Dr. Cruz's appointment as our president, and as we're getting to the end of the current plan, it's time to develop a new plan that can guide the future direction of the college and ensure the long-term success of our students, employees, and communities. So just as we used Transformation 2025 to focus our collective efforts on the most important institutional priorities, when our new strategic plan is complete, you will see it reflected in the president's goals annually, which then cascade throughout the institution, as was mentioned in one of the prior discussions at the meeting today. And the board monitors our progress toward the plan. You have your monthly dashboard that tracks our enrollment, our course success, our retention and persistence, graduation and transfer, and those are all indicators that we are making good progress with our strategic plan. Next slide. As you've heard at our recent board meetings, the process to create our new strategic plan began when Dr. Cruz arrived in July, and he welcomed faculty and students back for the new academic year, inviting everyone to participate in the planning process. He also led his executive leadership team to formulate 5 focus areas, which are serving as the starting point for our planning discussions. So I've got those 5 areas on the plan. There's some definition associated with each of these areas, and they're all aligned to our current mission and vision, which I was really happy to hear that you're reaffirming. And these planning areas are also relevant to drivers of current and anticipated challenges for the college. And these areas have the potential to help us improve student outcomes, institutional growth, and community engagement. Next slide. Just recently, we activated several streams of input into the planning process. We held 2 workshops for employees on MATC Day. The same week as Dr. Cruz described, we began meeting with community partners at the President's Roundtables. So all of these sessions that started last week allowed us to gather input on the strengths and opportunities that our stakeholders see for MATC, aspirations that they have for the institution, and results that they would like to see as we move toward 2030. So as the process continues throughout this academic year, we appreciate your interest and support. I think there's one more slide here that gives you the picture of kind of what we're trying to wrap up in the fall semester, and then what will be happening in the spring semester. And as we move into the spring semester, we'll start drafting materials that we'll be able to bring forward to this group for your feedback. And then we'll have something for your read through at the May meeting, and then hopefully approval at the June board meeting. So thanks again for inviting me to share an update. I hope that this satisfied some of your curiosity, and I'm happy to come back at any point to help you stay connected to the process.
Any questions in the room? Any questions online? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is new business. Do we have anything for new business?
No.
Public
Public
safety?
safety
Another
notification.
item. Oh, like one at a time. Oh, sorry, I skipped over public safety. Sorry. Next on the agenda is public safety notification practices.
Okay, so good evening. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm coming down with a little cold.
No
so
worries, we
I have
appreciate
this
it.
mask on. But thank you. So I'm Aisha Barco, Director of Public Safety. Joining me also with me is Sherry Rowe. She is our Emergency Management and Clery Compliance Manager. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to go ahead and discuss our notification practice. And I know there was questions about how we handle trespassers in our building, and then also too regarding if the campus feel safe. So we'll address all of that in this presentation today. So we can first start out with our notification practice. And how I broke it down is the who, what, where, how, to make sure that everyone understands how do we develop our notification practices, what we use, the different types of notifications, and when do we send out those notifications. So first, our notification is determined through many compliance codes. So we take in consideration our Clery law, and I noted the code up there, fire codes, life safety codes, which is through our FPA, our Fire Protection Act, the FCC. We also look at industry standards. So we talk to Marquette, we talk to UWM, MSOE, what are their practices with their notification? So we use also what's best, what's the industry standards, and also to just different businesses. We're part of the Downtown Security Network. We go to meetings with them every month. I'm not every month, every quarter with the Downtown Security Network. So we learn about best practices also with all the businesses that's downtown. Also too, we utilize our expertise. We utilize expertise, law enforcement. I have over almost 30 years of law enforcement expertise. We use fire management expertise, our knowledge, emergency management, Clery compliance, and definitely marketing and communication. So everything we send out, we do run past marketing and communication. They look at what we send out to make sure it is appropriate and make sure what we're saying is clear and concise. So that is what we use to determine our process. And also too, we work closely with construction services. As we know, emergency processes and notification, a lot of it has to do with building codes. So we have to make sure we know those codes. Also, when we put in out, such as for when we put out fire alerts. So if we send out our mass notification, when do we evacuate the building? Those are all things we have to take in consideration when we're considering when to notify our building occupants or our MATC community. Next, we'll go into what type of notifications are sent, and we'll give you an example of each one because there's 3 different types of notifications that we send out. And at this point, I'm gonna turn it over to you, Sherry. Okay.
So that we do have, could you go back to the previous slide? Yeah. So there's 3 types of notifications that we sent out. 2 of them are required under the Clery Act, and then the third is one that we have developed just for awareness purposes for our college. So the timely warnings are required under the Clery Act for the following crimes: homicide, sex offenses, which include rape, fondling, incest, and statutory rape, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, motor vehicle theft, and arson. And these crimes are defined by the Clery Act, by the FBI Uniform Crime Reporting Program, and also with state and local jurisdiction ordinance and statutes. So crimes that qualify for timely warning notifications include those listed above that are reported to a CSA and a campus security authority. There's a number of different people who fit that qualification. Obviously, public safety, our Title IX coordinators, individuals that have significant responsibility for student activities, such as our advisors to student clubs and organizations. And then, so any crime that gets reported to any of those CSAs and that are considered to represent a threat to students or the college environment. We'll talk a little bit, last I'll talk about the immediate notification, but when we issue crimes that require an immediate notification, they do not require timely warning. That immediate notification substitutes for the timely warning, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The crime awareness messages are for those crimes that don't qualify as a Clery crime. They're not one of the ones listed above, but we want to put those out to inform the college community about certain risks that might be going on. So for example, we recently put out a crime awareness message for a series of vehicle break-ins. It didn't meet the definition of motor vehicle theft, but there was a break-in. It was a trend. There was a number of them. So that was a risk that we wanted to put that information out for. And then when we talk about emergency notification, that's also a requirement under Clery. And that is generally for campus closures, for severe weather, for fire, for active shooter, those types of things that require some sort of evacuation or some sort of message to avoid a particular area for safety precautions. And so when we talk about emergency notification, we're really kind of talking about imminent danger. And the definition of that is a significant emergency.
Questions now or later?
But you can ask, go ahead.
Can you provide examples of these different categories and like what we are considering a timely warning?
Yeah.
Like the hours, like 15 minutes, like.
So under the Clery Act, there is no time frame. There is no definition of what is timely. It's really based on the incident itself. So it determines how quickly we get the information, how quickly we can classify it based on the information that we are getting. As soon as we determine that it fits one of these crime categories, and as soon as we are able to determine that it poses an immediate threat, then we put that information out. So there is no defined time. It's subjective, and Department of Ed would assess us based on the facts of each particular incident.
An example would be if we, so again, timely warnings are those crimes that we listed. So an example would be a car theft. So we will put out a timely warning for a car theft. And once we get the information and we have determined that it actually is a car theft, because sometimes somebody may say, I can't find my car. So we will go with them to find out if the car is missing. Once we know that it's a car theft, we do what is called a litmus test. This is what's required by Clery. So there's 3 things that is required in order for it to be a timely warning. That is it a Clery crime? So it has to be one of the Clery crimes. Is it in our jurisdiction? So our jurisdiction is around our campus, and then sidewalk, street, sidewalk. So anything that's happening sidewalk, street, sidewalk outside the perimeter of our campus, that is our jurisdiction. And again, as we stated, is there an ongoing threat? We have to determine, is there an ongoing threat? So what makes it not an ongoing threat? Has it been mitigated? Is it an ongoing threat? And we also talk to law enforcement. Sometimes if there's an incident, law enforcement, because it's turned over to law enforcement, they would say, we do not want you to put a timely warning out because it would impede the investigation. So these are all things that we have to consider when we're putting out a timely warning. So again, every single incident, we conduct the litmus test. We have to find out, does it meet the definition of a timely warning? And then you gave the example for the crime awareness, correct?
Yeah. So if it's not one of the Clery crimes, and we determine that it does pose an ongoing risk, we would then put out a crime awareness message. And we differentiate the two because we want to have clear guidelines on when we do send out a timely warning to show that we are complying with the requirements. So we have the 2 different types of messages to differentiate, because we can choose for any type of crime. It doesn't have to be just motor vehicle thefts. It can be any crime that we think poses a risk to the college, even though it's not under that Clery classification. So did that answer your question?
Yes, I guess I.
Go ahead.
So who makes that determination at the end of the day?
So it's going to depend on who is on duty at the time. It's in the policy, it's the Director of Public Safety and his or her designee, and then in collaboration with the Director of Marketing and Communications or his or her designee. So for example, crimes can occur anytime, day or night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So depending on who's here, if it's a lieutenant or a lieutenant on call, they would contact the chief, the Director of Public Safety, and then determine if the Director of Public Safety is not available, we are still required to make that timely warning notice. So whoever is on duty, on call at that particular time would make that determination.
So they would conduct the litmus test. They would determine, is it something that meets the requirements for a timely warning? They will contact me. We also, of course, Sherry is our Clery crime. Sherry is our expert in Clery, so we consult with Sherry. And then if there's a question, we always contact legal. So if there is something that we're just not sure of, is something in a gray area, we'll contact legal to see, are we meeting the definition of what a timely warning is? Because we don't want to put a timely warning out if it don't meet the criteria. Reason being, there has been a lot of Department of Ed audits, and we What they don't want is us putting out timely warnings. That's not a timely warning, because what they can say is we're trying to water down and not make it serious. They want people to know when we send out a timely warning, it is one of these crimes and it is serious. So that's why we have to do crime awareness, and we have to label it crime awareness, because we have to make sure that our campus population know that this is not a timely warning, but it is a crime awareness. We want you to know of something that is going on. So we're very intentional about how we label it and how we send it out, because we have to be very clear.
Okay. I think she has another
Oh,
question.
that's okay. We like it. Thank you.
So if I'm looking at these two sections here and I'm trying to connect them to something, rave alerts will go out for what type of?
Perfect. That's on our next slide.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'll just continue. So to whom? So messages would go out to building occupants, employees and students, and then the entire MATC community. And so how we would determine that is really based on who's affected by the emergency. For a fire in one building, we may not, for a fire alarm, let me clarify. For a fire alarm in one building, we may not notify the entire college or the entire college community, maybe not the entire campus or the entire college community, until we have verified that it's actually a fire, that we've evacuated that building, that we want people to take some immediate action to avoid that area. So we would send out a rave alert for that when it was a confirmed fire that we've evacuated. So for example, we had a previous fire at the 8th and State Street parking structure. That was a fire that was ongoing. People were not allowed into the structure until that was secured. So we sent out the rave alert for that. After the fire was put out, then the police and fire determined that people could enter the structure to remove their vehicles, but no new parkers could go in. So we put out an update for that via rave alert. So that's one example. When it's a false alarm, for example, we would notify the building occupants to evacuate because we want to make sure that people are safe, but we don't want to waste any time determining that. And then when we determine it's a false alarm, we give that all clear and we notify those building occupants. We would not necessarily notify the entire campus, because people could get a message of an all clear in one building and be very confused. They didn't get the original message. They didn't know that there was a fire anywhere, and that can cause unnecessary alarm.
Yeah.
So for fires, it's building occupants first. If it's a lockdown, it's the entire campus. If it's severe weather, it's the entire campus. And for those types of things, we would issue rave alerts. Rave alerts go to all of our students and all of our employees. We can't segment them according to campus or particular groups, for example. So it goes out to the entire community. Timely warnings go out to the entire college community. And obviously emergency notifications and crime awareness goes out. Crime awareness messages go out to the entire community. Emergency notifications will go out to those affected. And one thing that I wanted to add too about emergency notifications, per Cleary, those do require follow-up messaging afterwards to give an update about how the emergency was resolved and what was the outcome. So we put out additional information as soon as we have it, as soon as it's available. If there's no additional information, then we would not put out a notification. So for example, if there's a fire in the building, we put out the notification that says this building is evacuated, avoid this area. Then we would not put out additional information until that fire is resolved and now people can re-enter the building or whatever the update was.
If it is a false alarm, we do not send out a message letting everybody know that it was a false alarm. They would hear all clear to come in. We have a lot of false alarms for many different reasons. We have a lot of construction that is going on. So it could be dust particles that get into the smoke head. We have our culinary arts who sometimes, they're learning. They may set it off. So if we do have a false alarm, because again, when we send these messages out, we want people to know that it is some type of action that we want you to take. There is something going on. We don't want our messages to become, I'm just going to call it spam. We all know, especially during this time, we get many emails, many text messages. And a lot of times you stop taking it serious. You stop looking at it. We do not want any message coming from public safety to turn into what I call spam. We want people to open it and know that there is something going on. It's urgent. It's immediate. We need you to take action, or we're giving them some information from an incident that may have happened so they can further protect themselves.
Okay. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the litmus test for timely warnings. When do we deliver it? When it is a Clery crime, it occurred in our Clery geography, which is our on-campus, our public property on campus, our student housing, our non-campus. Those are defined also by the Clery Act. And then does it pose an ongoing threat? So another example of a mitigation where we may not send out a timely warning for a crime, for example, is if we have a robbery, but the police capture the suspect and now he's in custody. That crime has been mitigated, so we're not necessarily required to put out a timely warning. We may choose to do so for awareness purposes, but it's not required, and that may be a reason why we don't put out a timely warning.
But I will say this, just so we all know, all crimes that happen on our campus, even if we don't put out a timely warning, we have a daily crime log that is published every day. So everyone, we're very transparent about what goes on. And I believe it's very important. People have the right to decide what is going on at the campus. Is it safe? Do I want to send someone there? So we do have a daily crime log that is published every day. Every crime, regardless if it's a Clery crime, is put on this daily crime log.
Right, so all crimes get reported to us regardless of their classification, get reported on the daily crime log, then that's posted on the website. It's available for everyone, students, members of the public, everyone can see that. Crime awareness messages, so that I gave that example about the incident at Walker Square where there were multiple vehicles broken into. We talked about the emergency notification. And that's really to protect life and property. It requires immediate action. It requires people to either avoid the campus because the campus is closed or to evacuate the campus because of some danger inside or lock down or move to a secure severe weather shelter area. And then the methods of the delivery that we talked about, they're determined on a case-by-case basis according to the needs of that incident and the severity of the crime or the emergency. But timely warnings are emailed to all students and employees with follow-up emails or updates when additional information becomes available. Crime awareness messages, again, are emailed to all students and employees with follow-up when there's additional information. Emergency notification is building occupants first with mass notification, and then a rave alert to all students if there's an ongoing threat, followed up with an email about the outcome of the incident. Okay, I think.
Next slide.
Next slide. So when we talk about how students and staff employees are informed about the notification systems, we have several ways we do that. We do safety presentations that explain the differences between our primary, our mass notification system, and our secondary, which is our rave alert system. We do bi-weekly workshops on topics such as active shooter, bystander intervention, and we have a new one, a crime prevention one, where we talk about notification process and how that works. We do presentations by request on specific topics. If a classroom, an instructor or department meeting or something like that wants us to come and talk about safety, we always incorporate how we communicate it as part of our presentations. We participate in orientations, new student orientations, new employee orientations, adult high school. We also do program orientations. For example, we've been invited to the Barber Cosmetology program to talk to their students, the healthcare pathway, culinary arts. Particular groups or programs may invite us to their orientations. We do orientations at Westtown Green, and then just individual department meetings and workspace assessments. So for example, if someone is feeling uncomfortable with a newly remodeled workspace, they may ask us to come and do an assessment of their workspace. We walk through, we point out where you would evacuate to for a lockdown, how you would evacuate for fire, so on. And we again talk to them about notification and how that all works. And then lastly, we actively seek feedback from the college community after an emergency to determine how did this work for you? Did, this, when we do drills and things like that, did you hear the message? Was it loud enough? Did you get the message? That sort of thing. And then we participate in interviews with the MATC Times, with PBS interviews. Sometimes the students, when they're doing their projects, they'll invite us to come and we talk about all of that. We also do drills. We do 2 drills per semester. So in the fall, we do a fire and a lockdown. And in the spring, we do a lockdown and a severe weather drill. And during those times, that's the best time really to explain our notification systems because it's in real time and it's an example. So they get to hear it and they get to see it work. We do morning and evening drills at each of the campuses, including Walker Square. On our webpage, we have a Rave Alert webpage that talks about how the Rave Alert is activated, how you can access your account, how you can enter your data. And then on the public safety page, it also talks about our notification. And then lastly, we have our annual security and fire safety report that goes out each semester. By clearing requirements, it's required to go out by October 1st of each year, but I send it out during each semester to account for any new students that might have joined us during that time. So that includes information about timely warnings and emergency notifications.
And another one, and I think we didn't mention, we do have a public safety video that discussed this, and it is housed on Blackboard for all students to see. Go to the next slide. So next we had a question as far as how do we respond to individuals that should not be on our campus. So just to discuss trespassing. So what constitutes a person as being a trespasser? First, they have to be notified that they are not supposed to be on our campus. And once after they're notified, if they return to our campus, that is when they're considered to be trespassing. So if we would have someone that meets that criteria, the first thing we do is we respond. So we make it a call for service is what we call it. Someone calls us and say, hey, we think someone shouldn't be on campus. So the first thing we do is public safety, we respond and we investigate. We talk to the individual, we find out what is it that they need, we ask them to leave. We always want voluntary compliance. So if they leave, we let them leave. And then what we do is we use technology, we watch, we make sure that they leave our campus grounds. If they come back, then this is when we will give them what we call a written barring notice, which tells them that they cannot be on our campus. And we inform them of trespassing. Again, if they continue to come or if they pose some type of problem, we would notify the Milwaukee Police Department, or if it's at another one of the campus, our surrounding law enforcement agencies. At that time, it is turned over to law enforcement, and they will come and they would determine if a crime exists, and they would then decide if they're going to escort them off campus, if they're going to give them a citation. And then what we do last is we follow up. We follow up with the complaint. We do this with every call. So we will make sure we go back and we talk to the individual that may have called us to say, this is what happened. We give them the disposition. This is what happened. If you have any other problems, call us back, and then we write an incident report. We do have an incident report system, so everything that we respond to, we do have an incident report in our system. Next slide.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
To this last point, so providing an example here. If a student is followed or a faculty member is followed into a space and public safety is notified of this incident, there's no contact beyond the incident with the college-wide. It would just be with the parties involved.
Absolutely. So there was an incident where we actually had someone who walked onto our campus. So again, someone coming onto our campus the first time would not be considered trespassing because they have to be notified that they are not allowed. But what we would do, if someone would call because of some type of suspicious behavior, we would respond. And at that time, we would handle the situation accordingly. And I think the incident that you're referring to, yes, the person was escorted off, was told they could not return. They returned, we met them right at the door when they came back. And we were able to meet them right at the door because what we did is we used technology. We watched them on the cameras and we saw that they started to go down one street, they turned around and came back. So with this incident, there's a lot of different things that went into place, some special circumstances that went in. And when we did notify police, they came, and there was a lot of issues, maybe surrounding some mental wellness, some competency issues, and there was definitely a language barrier with this incident. And what Milwaukee Police determined is there was no crime based off of their assessment. And what they did is they escorted the individual back to their place where they stayed at. What we did do after that is we went back and we talked to that individual. We talked to the class. We gave them personal safety alarms. We let them know about the resources. We let them know about CAPS, our counseling. We also let them know if they didn't feel safe that we're there to give them escorts to their vehicles, to the bus stop, whatever it is they need. And then afterwards, after a couple days, we also follow back up with that complaint to see how are you doing? How are you feeling? Is there anything else that we need to do? So this is what we do in all cases. We make sure that we're very responsive. We want to make sure that they know that we're there, we're here for them. We really take a community policing model approach, which means we work with them. We believe campus safety is a responsibility of all. And I can't say enough to student government for working with us to get this very important message out, because we try different approaches. So now, besides my video that's on Blackboard, we're soon going to have a campus safety video, not with my face, but with the student's face, that is going to be talking about all the different resources that we have on campus for safety. And we really appreciate the partnership. So that is how we follow up with certain situations like that. So we'll follow up with the immediate, every situation is different. So so we have to really remember that sometimes we may hear things, but situations is different. And there was a lot of special circumstances in that incident that happened.
Yeah, I'm realizing that it's more case by case basis rather
Yes.
than like a kind of framework that you go off based off of that like criteria, that it met this criteria, but it's more of a individual incidents that we're looking at instead of just like
Absolutely.
across the board.
It's a lot of discretion, and we always, my officers know that we're great community partners, and we really do believe in transforming lives, not just our students, but also our community. And there is sometimes some individuals that come here that have some challenges, and we're there to help. We don't want to demonize or criminalize any type of issue that someone is going to. We meet them where they're at. We talk to them. We get to know them. That is really, and you'll see the strategies. That's one of the things that we do. We like to talk, how can we help you? Because that's our first goal. How can we help you? What resources does this individual need?
And so I would give you also an example of a time when.
I will say this, I do appreciate not over policing. I absolutely can appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So I think that's great work that you keep mentioning that or reiterating that, and I could certainly appreciate that.
So I would give you an example also of an incident where we did have a trespasser who was a repeat offender. And it was so severe that we were very concerned about this individual coming back on campus and harming. It involved a domestic violence situation. So we did issue a crime awareness message for that particular incident. It's not something we would do with every trespasser, but in this particular case, it was called for because of the severity of the incident.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So here's just some numbers just to give you an idea of how many trespassing calls for service that we have. Looking at 2022, there were 12. So this again was right out the pandemic. We didn't have a lot of individuals back on campus. People in the community were slowly coming back out. And what we have with those numbers is they were all downtown campus. 33% of the incidents involved the same individual. 33% was gone on arrival, meaning we got a call when we responded, the individual was gone. So we were not able to investigate even to determine if it was someone that was told that they could not be on campus, but we still counted as a trespassing cause for service. In 2023, we saw it picked up. We had 52 calls for service. 25% involved the same 3 individuals, and we had 15% gone on arrival. So what was different between 2022 and 2023? We know that December 30th of 2022, the county exec did close down the tent city that was in the back of the courthouse. So we did see a lot of individuals then coming to our campus. So that was one event that ended up happening. And then in 2024, this year, to date, so far, we had 66 calls for service for trespassing. Most of them are 76% are in the morning hours. 41% of those incidents involved the same 5 individuals. And then what we saw was 35% was gone before we were able to respond. So we do know, so we looked at it even further. So the individuals that's trespassing, what is causing the individuals to trespass? And what we determined is a lot of proportion is individuals that are unhoused. So what we end up doing to mitigate these calls, we did create an unhoused population work group. Next slide. We created a unhoused population work group. And in this work group that we meet once a month. We have Marquette Police on the work group. We have let me make sure my list, so I don't forget anybody. Milwaukee Police Department, we have the District Attorney's Office, St. Ben's, United Way, and Milwaukee County Housing Service, and we all come together and we just discuss strategies. How can we help this population? What are you doing? What is working? And homeless outreach. This is one thing that Marquette is really big on, and this is something that we do with MATC, is the homeless outreach. In our parking structure, sometimes we see a lot of unhoused individuals, and the homeless outreach from Milwaukee County, they come and they talk to the individuals, give them resources, make sure they know. Public safety, we created a resource sheet that we give them to let them know where there's warming shelters, cooling shelters, depending on the time of the year. We also, with my officers, they also put together packets that we give that have socks, hat, and gloves that they put together that we give them. So we really get out and we talk to them, get to know them, find out how can we help them. And again, collaborate with community partners, like we talked about the downtown security network. We also, Judicial Affairs created a detailed suspension letter. So sometimes what we find with trespass, a student may be facing a hearing, and they are not allowed to be on the campus until they have that hearing. If they come on the campus, it's considered trespassing. So we make sure that it's explained so that they know, because we don't want anybody confused, and so that they know that they can't be on campus. We also increase our patrols in our 8th and State parking garage, and we also work with Interstate Parking, who also have a security company that comes through and drive, also increasing the patrols. We also updated our no loitering and trespassing sign. This was also at the request of Milwaukee Police Department, because again, if they do not know that they can't loiter or there's no trespassing, when Milwaukee Police Department come, they really can't respond. They're pretty much then having them leave and just having them go to the sidewalk. And then of course we leverage technology.
Next slide.
Next slide.
Thank you.
And then this is our last slide. I'll try and make it quick. So the question is, do the students feel safe? So institutional effectiveness, they do a student satisfaction inventory survey, pretty much like the PACE survey. It's conducted every 2 years. It is a rating from 1 being not satisfied, 7 being very satisfied. So we have our numbers that just kind of put from 2014 to today. As you see, we have been improving each year. Between 22 and 24, we kind of stayed the same, but this gives us good information. This tells us what do we need to work on. What we see is our security staff respond quickly to calls for service. That is our highest score. I'm happy to see that, but we're not at a 7 yet. So we know that there's still work to do. And then our parking lots are real lit and secure. That is our lowest number. We do work with operations. 3 weeks ago, they just replaced over 100 light bulbs in 8th and State parking structure, and they're doing ongoing maintenance checks. So that's how we increase the lighting. And then is the campus safe and secure for all students? We're at a 5.92. We know there's room for improvement, and we're going to continue to work on that. And we do many things to do. As we said, we're partnering with student government. We're looking at different ways to get information out there about safety. So they can hear. We really believe that having student government, they're going to create a safety video so they can hear it from their peers. And this video, the plan is, this is going to be at orientation. This is going to be something they're going to push out to all the students. So we really think that's going to be an effective way to get out our information. We have Speak Up for Safety. So people can let us know if they don't feel safe. It is an online forum, it's formal. We also have, we participate in our active shooter video. I should say we participate, we present. That is a mandatory video for all of our staff. We participate in wellness fairs. I just completed an interview with PBS. We also, MATC Times, we put safety articles in MATC Times. And then again, other department meetings. I just actually went and I spoke to for SLL, which is our Student Success Liaison. They had a meeting and I participated in that meeting talking about about safety. Hey, that is it. Any questions?
Speaking for myself, thank you both for being here, because this was high on my priority list to
Thank you for
get
having
some of
us.
my concerns addressed. So I certainly appreciate the work that you guys have put into the presentation and following up with the questions that I sent very late today. I can appreciate that for sure. And this,
Fortunately, we had them all answered
Yeah,
already.
already.
So we were on the same page.
Okay. Yeah, no, I felt bad about sending them late, so I thought it was just gonna be
That's
addressed
okay.
later, so that's fine too, but I appreciate you guys taking the time. Cause like I said, speaking, for myself, it was on the high priority list for me, so I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if I can take the time, I can't talk about campus safety in a public forum and not just thank my officers. I appreciate all the hard work that they do when there is an emergency situation. My officers are running towards that and they feel the weight of their responsibility and roles every day. So while I'm here, I just would like to say thank you and I appreciate them. And I'm honored to lead such a great bunch of professionals.
Salute to you, thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one quick comment.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, sorry. No, that's okay. Can you just make sure that we get the rave alerts as board members? Because I know I never got them. I know you get them.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely. And
never
I think
received
we,
one.
so you don't get the rave alerts, the ones on your tech, okay. Beth, can I work with you so we can make sure everybody is in?
I don't know if anybody else wants them, but I will.
Absolutely.
If you would like them, please coordinate with Beth and she'll provide us the your phone number and email address. And that's what we'll need and please set up an account.
Yes.
I think some of them do have the rave alert. We have done that in the past, so it's very
Yeah.
easy to do. We just need the
Absolutely. We'll
information.
make sure you're included.
Thank you.
Also, I did hear about the work that you guys are working with the student government.
Yeah.
Great effort putting into that.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for.
Agree with one more question.
What's taking place in our parking lots? I see that the scores are lower there.
So
throughout
it
the year.
talks about the lighting. Just recently, we had to replace 100 lighting. 100 lights were out. So it is something that we're working with operations so that they can do regular maintenance check to make sure we don't have that many lights out.
And I think additionally, part of it too is the number of homeless people that are in our parking structures. That creates that perception of things being unsafe. But I will say also, the majority of the homeless unhoused population that we have, they're not here to hurt anyone or cause any crimes, but it creates that perception of being unsafe, so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now new business. Okay. Do we have any new business?
So I have two things.
Yes.
One, it does sound like we need to revisit and just have the administration give us some sense of what's happening in our bilingual programs. There were some things thrown around about courses not being taught by bilingual instructors, whatever. So I think a report next week, or next month of some kind to update us on that. And something else that I've asked for it once before, but I'd like to ask for it again, is we get a number of documents sent to us separately outside of the meeting, outside of the first agenda. And then, you know, so I'm sitting here and I'm looking for the public safety thing to click on it and I can't.
Yeah.
Because it's not here. There is a hard copy, but it would be good as these other reports come in, if they could actually be put in the main agenda and linked. I think it's also our obligation because that's the public document. So the public gets to see the things that are all public documents. So thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone online? Okay, future events announcements, November 25th, which is a Monday, is our next MATC district board meeting. So that is the week of Thanksgiving. We shifted it to Monday to move it away from the holiday. And then also November 20th to the 22nd is the fall meeting at Fox Valley Technical College. With that, I will turn it over to Director Baker to make a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that the district board convene into closed session pursuant to section 19.85, parent 1, parent E of the Wisconsin statutes to discuss item 11, a campus facility strategy update, and section 19.85, parent 1, parent G of the Wisconsin statutes to discuss item 11B, litigation update. The board may reconvene into open session, take action on matters discussed in closed session under items 11A and 11B if necessary.
Can I have a motion? Can I have a?
I second.
second, first. Thank you. We don't need a roll call, right?
Yeah.
Wait, okay, go.
Director Owen Moore, excused. Director Pence,
Aye.
Director Baker,
Aye.
Director Burris,
Aye.
Director Foley,
Aye.
Director Mendieta Ramos,
Aye.
Director Moore Mukunde,
Aye.
Director Najib,
Aye.
and Director Case.
Aye. All right. We're in closed section. Can we take a break?
Mhm.
5-minute break, please? Fire break, food break, whatever you need break.
Need more. I'm sorry how much I say this because I know it's really good. Okay, good.
Thank you.
How long is this break?